miracle from all that stressed. We trust the guardians, trust the guides, trust the open and what's inside. When the moon is high, it's time to fly. Open your mind, let it all unwind. Let's get disenraged, time to engage. Turn another page, free from your cage. Get disenraged. When you feel like you've had enough and the week was busy and tough, you need a break, you need some fun, you need to take time from the run. We'll blow your mind, we're just in time. Seek and ye shall find. Time to unwind, let's get disenraged. Time to engage. Turn another page, free from your cage. Get disenraged. Aliens, ghosts, spirits in the shadows, spirituality, ultra reality, the Bible, the pagans, all the conspiracies, tarot, astrology, and alternate history. Open your heart to other possibilities and get disenraged. Time to engage. Turn another page, free from your cage. Get disenraged, 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 disenraged.
What's up, guys? Jennifer, I didn't think you were gonna be back by the time the song was over. I was like, where the fuck is she? And then Jennifer slides into her chair like 3 seconds of the song left. Like a fucking ninja. Is your mic on? Are you muted? Are you muted? I can't hear you. Hi.
Yes, I was. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Unlike me, Jennifer, you're not a professional streamer on the internet, so it's okay that you come on muted. It's okay.
No, I actually thought I hit it, and I guess I imagined it, but because I try to be conscientious about that, I don't always win. But yeah, no, I knew the song's ending. I'm literally, like I said, everything is 3 feet away. I can real quick.
Well, we got Murphy's Pool starting us off with a dad joke tonight. So everyone ready? How do you keep a bull from charging? Take away its credit card. Yeah. Yeah. I bought a $400 leather jacket on Whatnot last night. I was like, you know what? But it was $5,000 in the store. And it's a fucking cool leather jacket, if I'm being really honest. It's got a big ass fucking buckle. It looks so fun. You're gonna love it, Jennifer. It looks so fucking 80s. It's got blue piping on it. It's like a bike. It's so fucking. I had to. I was obligated by the rules of Whatnot. By spending $400 on the leather jacket on Whatnot, I really saved $4,600 from buying it in the store.
Do you know what that you remind me of, like, the politicians in Colorado like gave everybody a tax break by raising the taxes and then providing a suspended discount.
Yeah, it's exactly
so.
The same
And they
thing.
did the same thing with our electricity. They raised the electricity, and then they went, "Oh, but we're gonna discount it during these times of day," and they discounted it back to the original what we were originally paying.
Yeah,
they're just charging more for certain times a day, and So yeah, that's that way of thinking.
Yeah, it's whatnot math. Yeah, exactly. It's whatnot math,
Yeah,
and
whatnot
it
math.
works. And you know, I mean, it's hot as fuck in New Hampshire right now, so I don't even know why I need a leather jacket, but it's a fucking cool leather jacket. I'm actually really. I was waiting for weeks for that leather jacket to come up to auction. I had that thing marked for fucking weeks, and they wouldn't bring it up. And then they brought up one that was not in my fucking size because there was only one available in my size. And I was waiting, and I saw it like a hawk last night. I was like, I'm max fucking bid, motherfuckers. That leather jacket's mine.
You're on
It's
your
mine.
snag.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and it will be. You're planning ahead because it's going to be cold someday.
Oh yeah,
So.
I live in New Hampshire. It's going to be cold in like 3 fucking months, and when it is, I will have a beautiful leather jacket. I'm not upset about that at all. Happy Revenge of the 5th, Jennifer. Well, it's also Cinco de Mayo. It's also Taco Tuesday.
I don't think Cinco de Mayo counts. Revenge of the 5th, however, is supremely important, and we should all march on Revenge of the 5th, because we had May the 4th yesterday, and Revenge of the 5th today. So and the movie night stream actually did really well. We had some kerfuffles in the beginning on Sunday night, but then we didn't have any problems after that. So it was really nice. Yeah. And I'm at a new RV park now, so I don't know what the streaming is like here. I've got everything off on my computer except us.
It seems good so far.
You kind of freeze up for me, but good. And husband's watching. He's got TV streaming, so that's good. But I've got all my applications shut off on my computer. The only thing I'm getting is occasional notifications, but I'm just ignoring them because I don't want to eat up any bandwidth. But I think we're doing good here. Cool. Yeah.
Hey, guess what? I just found a picture of the leather jacket on the internet. Look what I got. Look what I got. See, $1,722. I saved $1,300 by and the one I'm getting is brand new. It's not used.
Wow.
Still has tags on it. Sick leather jacket, isn't it?
Probably, you know what this all is? I know what Temu is. This is when they clean out hoarders' houses, that they just buy boxes and they never open them.
Yeah,
and they have
exactly
like from the 80s and 90s and aughts, and then they're like, this is a brand new leather jacket. Let's sell it for $1,700 because it's sitting in a box for 20 years.
This one is probably used. Like this one is probably used. But I definitely I got one that was new because the guy I got it from works with the brand and like buys all their back stock and then he sells it on his whatnot thing. And so he buys like an absurd amount of their clothing because he buys like everything he can. And so like he gets it super cheap. And so then he puts it up for auction and he said that he paid $800 for it and I got it for $400. So I was like, well, I won on that was a win for me. Sorry you lost money on that one, but I'm going to take that jacket.
I like the oversized zipper and buckle. It was really cool. I love it.
I know. Like, look at the fucking belt buckle. Like, that's cool, right? I'm like, and I like the blue. It's just something just like a little bit like different, you know? It's cool.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. The collar's nice too. It's a cool jacket. Yeah, it is.
I'm super excited about it. All right, Murphy's Pool. Murphy's Pool is like Karlyn spent money, and now we're gonna send super chats to compensate. What do you call an illegally parked frog? Toad. 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 Thanks. Murphy.
I like his picture. The starfish has a butt. Everything's butt stuff. Well,
you know, Murphy's Pool. You know, that's you know, he's a character. He is a character. So so you moved into a new campground. How are things? Are you in a good spot, or is anyone annoying so far? I got in a fight with my mail lady, so I mean, you probably like, I don't know if you any like that. She fucking she stopped delivering my mail, Jennifer. She stopped delivering my mail because she was pissed off. Because okay, so maybe I shouldn't do this, but Victor and I sometimes get in a really bad habit of leaving the junk mail in the mailbox and just letting it pile up in the mailbox. And we go through it. We're like, okay, is there actually anything important that we need here? And usually the answer is no. And so we just fucking leave it in the mailbox because they're delivering us junk and I don't really want it. So I'm just going to leave it there. And then when it gets piled up, I'm going to fucking deal with that situation. Well, the mail lady got pissed off. She was already pissed off at me because I'm getting all sorts of packages from whatnot. And she comments on it whenever I see her. She's like, you're getting a lot of packages. Like, she has a fucking attitude about it because she doesn't like delivering the packages because she has to drive them over to my porch and all that shit. And so what the mail lady started doing was actually just shoving my mail into the mailbox to crunch everything up so that she could say the box was full. And had she just put it in like a normal fucking person, everything would have been fine. But she started passive aggressively crunching everything into the mailbox. And I could tell she was being pissed off about it. And I was like, now I'm definitely not picking up the fucking junk mail because you're being a fucking bitch about this. Just put the mail in the fucking mailbox. Well, she turned off my mail and she stopped delivering my shit. And I didn't even know about this until I was notified by Whatnot, because I had a bunch of packages that were supposed to arrive on Saturday. I was like, where the fuck are my packages? And then I went and I looked in the tracking and it said delayed in transit. And like I had one that had been delayed in transit for like a day, and that happens all the time. And then it shows up a week later and like whatever. But all of my packages were delayed in transit. I was like, I know where they are. The mail lady refused to deliver them because she's being a bitch. So I had to go to the post office today. There was some young dude working behind the counter. I was like, my mail lady's being a passive aggressive bitch. I've come to collect my mail. Can you please get it and turn my mail back on? And he was like, did you ask for it to be turned off? I was like, no. And he's like, okay, I know what's going on. Yeah. And he kind of rolled his eyes. And he was
he thinks that that's not a okay thing to do.
Yeah. It's not acceptable to turn off my fucking shit. And she's done this before too. This is not the first time. So
I think, it would seem to me that professionally, it would be more appropriate to put a notice in your box saying, please collect all your mail out of your mailbox to avoid any issues, and just let them let you know, hey, cute, but we hate this. This is supposed to go in your garbage. But she doesn't, and then she chose to just handle it on her own and be a complete, see you next Thursday about it. So that's unfortunate.
So I left her a note in the mailbox today. I left her a fucking note in the mailbox and I said, do not ever turn off my mail again unless my husband and I give you permission. This is passive aggressive and you are not the only one of us that can be passive aggressive. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, not to hijack you moving into a new campground or anything, but with my bullshit story with the mail lady. Go ahead.
I think that's fascinating. I mean, lesson learned, right? That's really interesting. No, we had to leave our beautiful little creekside spot because we could only be there for 10 days. And we came to, we're at a new place and we're in Sevierville. So we were in Gatlinburg. We've gone up, it's like Gatlinburg goes up through Pigeon Forge. And then Sevierville is on the top of that. And then Knoxville is just 20 minutes north, I think, or something, 30 minutes north. Cool. And so that's kind of what we're doing. And we came here because they had a longer stay period and they also offer monthlies. And we thought maybe while we're there, one of the monthlies would come available. Little did we know, a few days after, a day actually, after I booked this place, a monthly place did come available in another city, which is a little further west of here. And it's a smaller kind of mom and pop establishment. This is also, I think, privately owned and not corporate, but it is this place. I'm really glad we didn't get the monthly here. I'm glad we went to the other place because this is like a giant RV parking lot.
That's
155 sites here. No, they're crammed in. There's so many. Thankfully, the spot that we chose, we right for now don't have anybody on the left or right of us. So we are kind of which is helpful with the dogs because we're trying to train them to be. They're not used to being around this many people or other dogs or seeing lots of squirrels and stuff. And so it's nice so that they don't get too reactive or cause problems. And we're able to continue training them and it's working out pretty well. But there's trees on every lot there. So that's nice. It's just like the trees are at the end and then it's just solid campers basically throughout. But here we're kind of in a little isolated spot, which is nice until probably this weekend it'll fill up. And then there's no dog run, which is hugely problematic for our guys because they need to run. They're still puppies. We swear that Anya is like part greyhound. If she doesn't run, she gets very, very pent up and starts acting out. And she has been doing that now. She's like sick of being on the leash. So we're having some issues, but she'll be okay. And the next place we're going to though has a big dog run. And it doesn't have any whistles and bells. It's just a monthly spot. There's a great laundry. There's a great bathhouse. So I'm looking forward. We're going to go there in a couple of weeks. We'll be moving over to that other city and that other little place, which is where we will perch until we find a house.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, it's all coming together.
Looking forward to it.
That's all real exciting.
Yeah, it just seems like all the little tiles are falling into place as we're making our plan, and I'm preaching the power of wouldn't it be nice, because that is it's so powerful for helping manifestation. Just to say, wouldn't it be nice if you want something to happen and you're like, yeah, but, and remember we talked about that chokes you. I think we talked about that a week or two ago. And so I'm fully convinced that if you just open up the communication with the universe by saying, wouldn't it be nice? And you just let it flow, like everything that we've wanted or needed has been right there for us. And it's been perfect.
So the way it works every time. Every time.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you chose for us this week a documentary, which I feel like by right and privilege, I actually should have seen, but I don't think I have seen it. But I feel like I should have seen it because I love Dr. Stephen Greer. I really, really, really like him, and I like his meditations to communicate with aliens. And I want to do one of his like overnights where they go out and they meditate together and they hopefully like have an alien encounter. I want to do that at some point. I think that'd be so effing cool. But this
they
is
always
called
get pictures of the aliens behind them too.
Yeah, and he's one of the people that David Wilcox said last week is in danger, which would be a fucking tragedy if anything happened to Stephen Greer. He's fucking awesome. And so this is called The Lost Century and how to reclaim it. What is this about, Jennifer?
So this was actually suggested. I don't remember who. I just remember seeing it in chat last week, and I went, "Ooh, I haven't seen that. I love Stephen Greer." So I pulled it up after we were done with our show last week, and started watching it. And then I continued watching it the next day, and I was like, "This is good." I didn't get through the whole thing, but it's all about all of the. Remember, we have talked many times about how the government suppresses the technology revolving around energy. And cheap and free and like hydrogen and water and like shit that runs on garbage, like that kind of stuff is always suppressed. That's what this is about. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And that is probably why he's in danger, because he knows a lot of this stuff. So it's a great documentary. So I'm really looking forward to watching it all the way through now.
Cool. Well, shall we get started? Shall we jump in? All right.
Yes.
Guys, if you've never been to DISENRAGE before, just so you know, this is Jennifer and I's little Tuesday night show to relax and think about spirituality and aliens and energy and tarot cards and all these woo-woo things. Just so you guys know, everyone's allowed to be here. Everyone's allowed to watch along with us. No proselytization, no damning us to hell. We are not Christians. We are not going to become Christians. That's not going to happen. We don't go into your church and cause problems. We expect you not to come into our spirituality fun time and cause problems. If everyone can follow the rules, that's going to be better for everyone. All right, let's jump in.
Yep.
We are hurtling toward the day when climate change could be irreversible.
Rising sea levels already altering this nation's
climate change.
Capital is choking in its worst.
Capitalists!
5%
What the fuck?
Species will become extinct.
Sea levels rising, glaciers melting.
If we do nothing,
Please
the
don't
picture
be
of the
woke.
world is
Please
one
don't
of
be woke.
absolute devastation.
There's no convincing scientific evidence for man-made climate change.
We're
No.
spewing 162 million.
Whatever happened to Sarah
Jennifer,
Palin?
are you sure about this documentary? Because this seems a little leftist already to me. Is this going to ruin it?
There's a reason. No.
Aw,
They're showing the justification for some of it. They're like,
Okay.
this is like, they're scaring the public to do this crap. Yeah, no, it's fine. Greer's not woke.
Yeah, it is like, is this a surprise episode of Socialism that we didn't know we were getting? Deets, thank you for the super chat. None of her business how much mail you're getting. Highly unprofessional. Probably a breach of conduct. Yeah, that fucking mail lady is like, that fucking mail lady better like shut the fuck up and just deliver my fucking mail. And I don't really care about her opinion about how many packages I get from whatnot.
Human-caused global warming.
Yeah, that's not a her
pollution into
concern.
it every
None of her
single
concern.
day, as
Deliver the
if
fucking mail.
This is an open sewer.
Satellite data demonstrate in the last 17 years, there's been zero warming, none whatsoever. It's why, you remember how it used to be called global warming? And then magically the theory changed to climate change?
Oh my
Sure,
God,
the
look at
reason
Ted
is it wasn't
Cruz.
warming, but the computer models still say
I
it is,
know.
except the satellites show it's not.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth.
Oh my
How
God.
dare you?
How dare you?
Drill, baby, drill.
That's down her.
Drill, baby, drill.
You can have the best capitalism and global capitalism in the world, but if people are dead, they're dead. And so
Arnold betrayed him.
Enough is enough. The world is at a breaking point. Catastrophic climate change, biosphere collapse, and a global energy crisis have been met with apathy, denial, and despair.
It is going to take everything we know and love.
Like clockwork, our corporate overlords present us with two untenable options. Submit to an Orwellian itinerary of energy rationing and population control, or ride the status quo into the abyss. Both sides are right, and both sides are wrong, which means both sides are missing a critical piece of the puzzle.
Since the early 2000s, we have seen an increasing number of unauthorized and or unidentified aircraft or objects in military-controlled training areas and training ranges and other designated airspace.
Some of them appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. That's pretty intriguing.
I think I would, without discernible means of propulsion, I would say that we're not aware of any adversary that can move an object without discernible means of propulsion.
Karlyn,
unidentified flying
Hang on.
object.
Go ahead. What's up?
I just remembered. Have you heard? Well, I've heard that there are some ministers, some preachers being called by the White House to, or by congressmen, to start preparing their congregations for the announcement of aliens.
Someone
so that they don't
mentioned
get
that today in the
panicky.
chat. Yeah. Someone
Yeah,
announced
so they
it
don't
today.
get panicky thinking there's demons and stuff crawling around, or that demons are coming to the planet. Like, you need to start educating these people that aliens are not demons or angels. They're actually other life forms. And I'm like, and this is coming from a congressman? Oh my God. Yeah. So like, woo.
We're getting
anyway, that
disclosure.
just reminded me.
We're
Oh,
getting
hell yeah,
disclosure,
it's coming.
Jennifer. It's fucking happening. It's fucking happening in the next year or two. It's gonna be fucking awesome. I'm so excited. It's time for aliens. Alien time.
And they included
Is it-
reptilians in that.
Ah. We gotta get Alex Jones out there. Alex Jones gonna be like, no, they are demons. No, they are. Don't listen to the preachers. They're demons.
Oh God.
A deliberately obfuscating term. What it really is an alternative energy and propulsion device. This is the real reason for the secrecy. These technologies, if they were disclosed, would end fossil fuels, pollution, and poverty overnight, and usher in
I'm
a
gonna
new
get my
era
green
of
glasses on for
abundance,
aliens,
freedom,
Jennifer.
and peace.
Oh, nice.
Instead,
seen these
they
yet.
have been kept secret for over 100 years.
These are the
Dr.
alien
Stephen Greer, the world's leading expert on UFOs and extraterrestrial
Oh,
intelligence,
yeah.
has been advising
Nice.
presidents and heads of state for
Wiping
30
that.
years on the urgency of the situation.
Where's my thing?
We don't have much time left.
What is this lost century? This lost century is literally 100 years, more than that now, of technologies that have existed that have vanished. I mean, I was just recently in a meeting in Washington with the people who manage the black budget of the United States. They have no access to this material because between the late 1800s and now, the ingenious inventions and sciences that could have moved us off that extinction level path that we're on have all been ruthlessly suppressed, confiscated. And the only way that's going to change, it is not going to change in Washington. It is not going to change in a large corporation. Unlikely. It's going to change by us, the people doing it. So it's about us. Let's look at this.
No.
You know what this is?
No. No. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. Don't tell me he's fucking Mossad. Don't ruin it. No, can we just not break the nice thing? Can we just not? I'm not mad. I just don't want it to be ruined. Oh man.
No, I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know. I really don't.
Why would you do this to us? Why would you do this to us?
Dude, this is a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
Yeah,
They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
This is an alternative energy and propulsion device. These are things that have existed all the way back into the 60s. But the one that they call the Tic Tac here off the coast of San Diego,
Tic Tac.
the white one, looked very much like this. These have been made by the Lockheed Skunk Works. And my favorite letter of all time, the head of the Lockheed Skunk Works, Ben Rich, look at the date on it, 1986. It was an answer to a letter someone wrote and says, are these UFOs man-made or extraterrestrial? He says, many of our man-made UFOs are really unfunded opportunities, meaning if it was released for public use, it'd be an enormous industry. Every meeting I go in Washington, I say, see that thing you guys are all talking about? That's Lockheed Skunk Works.
They have left us behind, and everything we see out in our world today is absolutely a construct. It's an absolute construct. The internal combustion engines are obsolete. The nuclear power plants are obsolete. The coal fire plants are obsolete. We have the wind generators, those are obsolete. The solar power, it's all obsolete. If we could follow the gravity research that the contractors and research institutions have been doing, we could see that bright future as well.
So a lot of people say, well, how is this thing moving? There's no fuel on board. There's no nuclear power plant. There's no jets and no rockets. Well, way back in the 40s, Dr. Casimir, he predicted, and later it was proven in the 50s, what's called the zero-point energy field.
Zero
Did we lose
point
Jennifer?
energy, or what?
Where the fuck did Jennifer go? We just lost her. The aliens have kidnapped Jennifer. What just happened? Let's give her a moment here. Where'd she go? I don't know. I don't know. Is it over? Jennifer has been kidnapped by aliens? Has Jennifer been beamed up into the fucking portal? Let me get into the Discord, see if Jennifer has posted an update at all. Yep, Bashar pulled up. It's over. Well, Jennifer's already seen this, so you know what? We will. If Jennifer doesn't come back in a second, oh, she texted you. Whoops, forgot to tell my pooter which camera mic. Oh, she'll be back. Jennifer's fine. She'll be back. We're gonna continue. She'll be fine. She'll be right back.
Nikola Tesla called radiant energy is the most profound and transformative gift that the quantum world offers us. The seemingly empty vacuum of space is actually
kind of. Hello, Jennifer. We thought the aliens got you. We thought it was over. You finally ascended.
I've been gone for 3 days. What day is it?
Well, you know how that's possible. Time isn't real, obviously.
Well, normally, especially when you're traveling at light speed. Yeah, our internet just tanked. Like I said, there's 155 campsites out here, all using the Wi-Fi, and I think there's probably only 100 campsites occupied, maybe, but still, not even that. And yeah, I don't know. So Starlink, here we come. Any minute now. I'm gonna see where I can get the hardware delivered because I don't like this. This sucks.
I mean, well, it's just like everyone send positive fucking vibes, and we'll like everyone send vibes to Jennifer's internet, okay? Strong internet, reliable internet for the next 3 hours.
a roiling sea of virtual particles fluctuating in and out of existence.
That would have been funny if you changed
and all
your
those
shirt,
fluctuations require energy.
I saw that, Grandma. That's
If
funny.
we could tap into this energy source,
Like, what are
we
you
would
talking about? I was
unlock
all
a
over this.
virtually unlimited reservoir of clean, free energy. Extraterrestrial spacecraft are known to harness zero-point energy.
The U.S. U.S. scientists is understanding what this was. It was an energy device that used zero-point energy. That's what they referred it to as zero-point energy. And it was connected in such a manner that this device could power, from a very small flashlight or a very small watch up to a city. And power was determined by what the demand on it was.
The implications of free energy go far beyond bringing monthly electric bills to zero or running a car without gasoline. Most of the cost of making anything, from growing food to building a skyscraper, is the energy of pulling raw materials out of the ground, shipping, processing, shipping again, and so on. If the cost of energy goes to zero, the cost of agriculture and manufacturing becomes negligible. Other critical solutions, like water desalination to end drought or air purification, both of which are prohibitively expensive due to energy costs, would suddenly become viable in a free energy paradigm. A new world where humans live in perfect harmony with nature is possible within our lifetimes. But this would mean the end of oil, gas, and coal, as well as the centralized power grid and the global macroeconomic system, which will stop at nothing to protect the hundreds of trillions of dollars at stake.
The consequences of keeping all this secret. We're in the process right now of doing something that I've termed planeticide, the deliberate killing of an entire planet with malice aforethought through greed and stupidity and power. All the damage we're going to see in a few minutes, totally avoidable. Every bit of it since the 1920s at least. And we can prove this.
I'm afraid that the term planeticide is all too real. The ecocide doesn't really say it. We are in the process of destroying the biosphere, destroying a habitable world for certainly the majority of the animals on the planet. I'm an older guy. I won't be around to see the worst of this, but I have not just trepidation, but terror at what's going to be faced by my son's generation and the generations that come after him.
When someone asks me how bad is the crisis, I kind of don't know where to begin. Because what does that even mean? Does it mean what is the threat to humanity? Have we reached some kind of tipping point? There are certain things that get under my skin or that especially alarm me. And one of them is the insect holocaust, for lack of a better word. The precipitous decline in the number of insects, the number of species, the total biomass of insects. A lot of studies put that decline at 80%. When I was a child, when we went on a long drive, especially.
Go ahead.
All the driving we've done across country, I maybe had 5 bug splats on my windshield.
Really?
I remember it was running. Yeah, that was it. I remember it's a running joke that, like, especially if you go across Kansas or Nebraska, like, you can't see through your windshield after a couple hours. You'd have to stop and scrape all the bug guts off of it. But now, like, there's hardly any. There's 5. All those, everything we went through, all the farmland we went through. I had like 5 bug splats on my windows. That's it. Couldn't even believe it.
I know that's probably a bad thing, but I'm also not that upset about that, if I'm being honest. But it's probably a bad thing, and I understand that. It's probably like debalancing the ecosystem or whatever. But like, I'm not upset that there are less bugs. Maybe this is like a higher evolved form of living.
The bugs get eaten by the birds and other animals, and it upsets the entire food chain, all the way up. Other animals will die out, and that includes us. So they also serve as fertilizers.
Yeah, the birds are gonna have to adapt, find something else to eat. They can eat grass or something. They'll be fine. Birds are gonna be fine. We have chickens. We can always breed more than enough chickens to feed everyone.
It's not just about the chickens, though. It's about the guys that are just wild, flying in the air, all the little Tweety birds, the finches and hawks and everything, and like all the mice eat bugs.
What do we need finches for? What value do finches add to the world, Jennifer? Would it really be like the worst thing in the world if we didn't have finches?
Yes. Yes, it would. We need all the things. We need all the things that all depend on each other, and it ultimately ends with the us. We need all the things.
But animals have gone extinct before, and did we need the dodo bird?
No, that's one species of bird.
I'm sure at some point people were like, no, this is a really integral part of the environment, and the dodo does X, Y, B, and Z things that are hyper important. But today we're like, kind of turns out we didn't actually need that thing. I'm just saying.
All the bugs are the foundation of all of the food chain. Everything depends on them doing well so that the next animals can do well, and so forth and so on. And if you disrupt one thing, the whole thing collapses or it minimizes to the point where it's unsustainable or we can't benefit from it anymore. The planet can't benefit.
The fucking
The aliens will fix it.
They're gonna fix all the fucking problems. We don't need to worry about this shit. The aliens are gonna take care of it. We know they're coming here because we fucked things up irrevocably, and now they're like, okay, children, okay, we know why they're doing this. They're like, okay, this was a good experiment, but we're taking over now, and we're gonna fix all this shit that you guys fucked up.
And think about, like, without the bugs, what would we eat when we all live in the pods and own nothing? We've got to have bugs.
The aliens are gonna take care of all that. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Actually, in the summer, like, we'd have to have the windshield wipers on from time to time to clear off the bug splatter. Like, you just don't have that anymore. Insects are like the foundation of the terrestrial food chain. Like, you can't have a thriving ecosystem without thriving insects.
This is the 6th great extinction that's happening on the planet, and it's 100% man-made, all of it. We have to all awaken, because of what's happened, I think we're like a frog being boiled slowly. And suddenly we're going to wake up and find out, it's too late. 150 species every day go extinct. Now, these aren't all animals, all kinds of species.
The planet has been dying at human hands for a long time. A naturalist I like, J.B. McKinnon, he calls the world a 10% world as kind of a poetic expression of how much life has declined. So there's maybe 10% of the whales that there were 500 years ago, and the seabirds and the wetlands and the mangrove swamps, and the fish biomass. We don't even know what we have lost, although in some level we feel it. This is part of the despair, part of the alienation and the anguish that sensitive people feel.
Ice caps are melting. The oceans are certainly going to rise. They could rise as much as 20 feet if we have the big ones melt.
This is all the way back in 1958. And there was a full-page color ad in Life magazine. Everybody was reading Life magazine at the time. And it's by an oil company which was the predecessor of Exxon, which was called Humble. Each day, Humble supplies enough energy to melt 7 million tons of glacier. Here they're bragging about it in 1958. So this company gets rebranded as Exxon in the 1970s. And in July 1977, they have a meeting inside Exxon headquarters where their chief scientist, James Black, is showing slides that are warning that burning fossil fuels are going to eventually endanger all of humanity. They know this in 1977. Present thinking holds that man has a time window of 15 years before the need for hard decisions regarding changes in energy strategies might become critical. Well, those 15 years were up in the early 1990s.
Look at this. How long ago was it recognized that this was a disaster? Senior scientist Exxon, 45 years ago. And actually it was known before that. This is insanity. This is a civilization gone mad.
These companies have really not been held accountable. We've lived in the fossil fuel economy now for more than 100 years. And it's just been accelerating. The amount of wealth has been increasing. You have situations now where the head of ExxonMobil goes on to become the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson under President Trump.
And I'm an environmentalist. A lot of people don't understand that. I think I know more about the environment than most people.
So there is really very little accountability that exists.
Many scientists, such as myself, have discovered that there are very concerted, well-oiled machines that provide false information, even to scientific and academic programs. It's called capture, where they try to rationalize away this problem and everything's fine.
One company, Exxon alone, has funded more than 40 different groups to keep alive its campaign to deny the worst impacts of climate change. There was a guy named Martin Hoffert, and he's a professor of physics at New York University.
Yeah, me too.
To Exxon for their climate
I agree
modeling.
with this. When the fuck are we getting flying cars? We were promised flying cars. Do you know why? Do you know what? Go ahead, Jennifer.
I just hope we never get them. Have you seen how people drive on the ground?
I want them. There's more
I'm
room
scared
to
of
like
people flying.
maneuver. That would be awesome.
Oh, it's gonna be a mess. So
You
many
just see something
accidents.
out,
People
you're
are
like,
just be
meow. Like that's all you have to do.
no. It'll be like a dogfight up there. No, thank you. No, very bad. Bad idea.
You know why we're not getting flying cars? Because Israel took all our fucking money. That's why we're never getting flying cars. It's fucking over.
Hover cars.
Very
I'm
much.
good with hover cars, but I don't know about the flying ones. That's probably massively bad idea. Most
You mean
people
like
can't drive on the ground.
in like Minority Report where they did the hover cars on some sort of track that the car self drove, so there was no human involvement. Humans basically
Well-
get in there and then ride.
I don't like the idea of the rail. I think those are like rail cars. I don't like that idea. That's a lot more infrastructure. And I don't like the self-driving thing, but definitely the hover car to remove resistance, and like then you don't have to worry about potholes and stuff like that. Maybe not even speed bumps. Like that might be fun. That might be kind of cool.
Victor figured out that his car had a self-driving mode, and it freaked me out when he first started using it. He was like, yeah. He was like,
No,
I was like, fuck you. Put your hand on the fucking wheel.
That's terrifying.
1980s. And he said this.
The advertisements that Exxon ran in major newspapers raising doubt about climate change were contradicted by the scientific work we had done and continued to do. Exxon was publicly promoting views that its own scientists knew were wrong, and we knew that because we were the major group working on this. This was immoral and has greatly set back efforts to address climate change.
Here's a case where the Canadian government ordered the scientists not to disclose the extent of it. So what you get in the media is a very sanitized version of this problem, which many people believe we may have already gone over the edge of the red line, how far we can go without a safe return to a sustainable civilization.
China is the world's biggest greenhouse gas emitter by a huge margin. And if there's anything clear so far coming out of this year's Communist Party Congress, it's that coal is having a bit of a revival in the world's second largest economy. A senior energy official said China will give full play to coal as ballast in the country's energy mix.
Why are we digging stuff up out of the ground when we haven't needed to burn coal since about the 1920, 1930 time period? Here's your solar panels. I had to replace my solar panels with more, and they all end up in a landfill and they're toxic. You know, we're working in a paradigm, whether it be fossil fuels or what is being proposed as new energy, that isn't going to work.
I'm certainly not opposed to renewable technologies, but you know, they are dependent on weather. They're dependent on how much wind there is in an area, or they're able to harness of the sun. And they cost an awful lot to bring up to speed.
No environmentalist wants to see vast landscapes converted to biofuels or pit mines to mine silver and cobalt and lithium, wind turbines that kill birds and mar the landscape. This isn't what we signed up for. But this is what happens when we abdicate our relational care for every place and ecosystem and being on Earth and transfer that onto yet another quantitative cost-benefit paradigm.
And you have lithium fields. The amount of pollution from these lithium mining operations for lithium-ion batteries in your Tesla, not to mention they catch fire periodically. Now, fair enough, I'm an emergency and trauma doctor. Gasoline cars catch fire more. I can tell you some horror stories, which I'm sure you don't want to hear. And then we have this whole morass of how we're living, you know, on wires that we haven't needed. And so the entire system is set up to benefit a relatively small number of global oligarchs and financial interests that we absolutely have to say enough. They've had 150 years to do this.
If we want to live among other life in the future and not in a concrete hellscape where we retreat into virtual worlds to compensate for the loss of what is alive, then we have to change our ways. And we have to start acting from our care for life.
Most of you know that there are these nanoparticulate plastics that are in the entire food chain. They cause cancer, they disrupt hormones, they damage your brain. And why? Well, if we had quote unquote free energy systems from what we're going to describe as 0-point energy field, you would never have to have anything wasted because you have 100% recycling because the cost of the energy would be zero. And then we have all these famines happening around the world because of the absolute social injustice of a system that is driven by greed and scarce resources. When, as Tesla pointed out, there's an infinite amount of energy to be tapped in what has now been quantified as the 0-point energy field. How do you tap it? Now, mainstream science says it can't be tapped. It's there theoretically. Not true. And you're going to find out how untrue that is.
International Panel on Climate Change, which issues annual reports about the dire state of things that we're facing. It says in their latest report that over the next decade alone, between 32 million and 130-some million people are going to be driven into poverty because of the changing climate in their countries.
3 billion people, almost half the world's population, has no way to cook their food. They have no way to heat. But what they're doing, they have to survive, is cutting down the rainforest and cutting down the scrub and shrubs in the desert. You have what's called desertification, where you have the growth of deserts going on exponentially. You can take maps from 40 years ago and now and just see the growth of this dead zone. Why? You have 3 billion people that don't even have, even if they had access to fossil fuels, they don't have access. This is how they're living.
Yeah, pause there.
It's not only that 3 billion people.
Go ahead.
So I was watching a documentary about why Africa is so devastatingly poor. And one of the things, they don't have cheap energy for whatever reason. And but another thing is like a lot of these tribes, they're so split up. They all have different languages. There's no unity. But one of the main ways they make money is through lumber. So they are, like he was talking about, the deforestation or the desertification, anyway, is because their main source of income is lumber. And so they're literally causing the deforestation by to sell lumber. And meanwhile, everyone's got America all jumping up and down about the Amazon because of, they're clearing it for farmland. This is a big problem too. They're trying to rely on this lumber, and these people are barely making any money. And a lot of the money, of course, goes filtering through the government, and they don't get any of the aid. But another thing is all the aid that we've been sending them have put the farmers out of work, because it's easier to get free rice from the UN than to grow it and sell it and have to buy it from a farmer. They have put farming out of business. Like, it's just, there's a horrible spiral happening over there. And it all kind of leads to, they can't get energy, and they're in a loop that they can't get out of. It's just terrible. And I know that's not anything to do with woo or 0-point energy or anything, but there are problems bigger than I think people realize happening in places that are getting no attention. And yet these are also the people they're relying on to mine our lithium batteries for us. So they're lithium for the lithium batteries. It's just, we're so borked. We're doing everything wrong on this planet. I really think so.
I don't know, Jennifer. I kind of feel like this is maybe this is an unpopular position, but I kind of feel like this might be a survival of the fittest situation. Like, I fully expect Africans to fuck up their entire continent. I think this is like a very predictable thing because they're Africans. Like, I have the same expectation for them that I do like Haitians, and we know that Haiti is one of like the dirtiest countries that you could ever possibly go to ever. And there is like a reason for this, and I just think that sometimes we need to allow nature and the inevitability take its course, and just say we cannot have expectations of Africans running a massive content successfully because they're simply just not equipped for it. Even though I'm sure there's some very smart Africans that are very good people and they're trying and they mean very, very well. That's a lot of people that have a very specific genetics, and I'm just thinking that they got to figure their shit out.
Yeah,
we all had to figure our shit out. We had to figure out how to do stuff.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a valid point too, in that they got to figure it out as well. But I think a big problem is when you're so focused on survival, you can't sit down and think about things or figure things out because you're just trying to live moment to moment. But I get what you're saying. I know you're not trying to be mean about it at all. So I don't know. I'm just really grateful that I incarnated where I did. I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean for sure, but they chose that. They chose it for whatever
Yeah.
reason. They
Yeah.
chose that. We chose this. We are all responsible for our choices. They're all learning lessons and all that stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
I know I sound heartless when I say that, but it's also like I am not responsible for anyone else's experience. I actually really do believe this.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's like I mean this is like maybe me like my Aries maximum. I am not responsible for anyone else's experience. I'm not responsible for people dying in fucking Africa. I'm not responsible for people dying in the fucking Holocaust. Like I'm not responsible for your experience. You chose this, and you know, go learn your lessons, and it's all gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
God still loves you.
It'll work. Yeah, it'll work its way through. I agree, and it's I just hope I don't choose any of that incarnation. I hope like when I go back and I get to pick my next video game, it's like, well, starving in Africa sounds fun, you know. No.
We have a different perspective over there, as you have reminded me. We have a different perspective, so you might think it does actually sound fun based on whatever, and it'll be fine. And you'll do it again and again and again until you stop.
It'll be what. Maybe I'll be the one that changes it. Who knows? Yeah.
Don't have access to energy sources. It's also that their way of life is under constant assault by our own, primarily through the financial system that imposes debt through development loans and other mechanisms on most of the world, who then must, in order to meet the debt payments, must convert their environment into commodities and their time and energy into labor for the global marketplace. So if you don't include those kinds of issues, and you're only talking about let's bring more energy to the world so that we can raise them up to be like ourselves. Come on, it's not working. Being like ourselves is not working. Look at the depression. Look at the suicide. Look at the addiction. Look at the obesity. Look at the despair. This is not a fit destination to evangelize throughout the world. We need some humility here.
The dire emergency in East Africa, the drought there exacerbating the hunger crisis. As many as 20 million people could be starving by the middle of this year, half of them children.
I firmly believe there can be no peace on this planet without justice. And there can be no justice when half the population of the world is required to live in abject poverty. It's a direct result of the world's energy system. So I always liken this, we're living in this sort of the Truman Show. It's a perfect metaphor for the world we're living in now, where, you know, the people who are saying we need more oil, gas, and coal until we get something to replace it, they're right. Look what's happening all over the world. On the other hand, the people say we can't just keep drill, baby, drill and burning oil and gas and coal because we're destroying the biosphere. And they're right. Now, when both sides are right and both sides are wrong, someone's been had. We've been had by people who want to deceive us and think that we're actually having a legitimate debate about energy and the environment. We are not. We're all Jim Carrey living in this Truman Show of a construct. So everyone's saying, well, you know,
real,
we don't have enough
Steven.
fossil fuels coming out. And the density of energy from solar and wind isn't enough. So let's build more of these. Well, then you're stuck with 1 million years of toxic, life-killing waste from nuclear reactors.
Greenhouse gas emissions would only decrease, according to a recent study, by 4% if we double the amount of energy that we're getting from nuclear power by 2050. Well, that's not a very good statistic to think about.
Most people think when nuclear power plant is running that you're somehow getting energy from the atom directly. No. What you're doing is splitting the atom, as it were, creating a lot of heat that boils water, heats water. It turns a steam engine like a choo-choo train in 1849 coming out to the gold rush in California. That's all a nuclear power plant is, except you're stuck with 1 million years of waste. And this is the other problem. The distribution of the power from the point that you have the primary source By the time you generate it, transmit it through the inefficient transmission lines, and then your wiring in your device or your home, you've lost at least 66%. So 66% of the energy is completely wasted. So here's your energy grid. 12% is a new renewable. The rest is the
crazy.
old system. So if you plug in your electric car,
12%.
88% of the
And
power
all of our bills
is
going
coming
up.
from gas and
All
oil
the
and coal.
programs are doing 12%.
12%. So
It's so not. It's practically not even statistically significant.
The entire world is running on an energy paradigm of scarcity, meaning that there's never more energy than we generate, and we lose that energy as we move it around and deploy it in different ways. And so energy is expensive, and energy is difficult to get to remote areas. And the energy is important because it's inputs in growing food, and it's inputs in manufacturing, and it's inputs in the economy, and it's inputs in all of these things that make people's lives better and that solve the problems that desperately need to be solved on the planet right now. Over unity is a very simple idea. It's that you're getting more energy out of something than you're putting into it. And according to mainstream science, that's impossible.
What free energy devices suggest is that there is a limitless supply of usable energy that's always coming into reality, and that we're not living in a universe of fundamental scarcity.
So over unity is more than just a breakthrough that's going to live its life in a technical paper. It's not that. It's really the ability of humans to liberate themselves.
Yes, there is a history, a long history of over unity systems. For example, Nikola Tesla had one. Basically, his big magnifying transformer that he had on Long Island was such an over unity system. He got the entire Earth itself in resonance. Everything going on is feeding energy into the Earth starts to feed energy into that wave that he created. So he gets a lot more energy in his resonant wave fed from outside, from the environment in the interior of the Earth. His idea was you could then put in a tap on it anywhere else on the world and extract it free. And of course, J.P. Morgan's take on that was, that's foolish. You can't put a meter on it. So that actually doomed much of Tesla's career at that point when Morgan found out that Tesla was going to produce the energy freely.
But I love this quote. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, the reason he said that is that when you use what's called a very high voltage system, you can tap in to what Professor Casimir called the 0-point energy field. Some people call it the quantum vacuum. Other people, like Professor Dirac, modestly called it the Dirac Sea. And we just tested a device last month in the Arizona desert, you'll see in a moment, that is based on that.
Nobody is really trying to get, for example, over unity, more energy out of something than you put in, because it's assumed that that is impossible. Well, that might be impossible, but only if you don't really understand the fabric of reality itself.
They just can't believe it, especially engineers, because I know how we were taught, right? There is no vacuum energy. You're just a kook when you think so, right? If they took a little more physics, they would go, well, maybe.
It's not a small thing. It's not a matter of finding proof for some technology, for some invention, and convincing everybody of it. You can't convince somebody of something that so totally contradicts their basic assumptions about the universe.
But what if there's a pool of energy available to us that we didn't even think was possible because we're operating on these 100-plus-year-old assumptions? We can't find this excess energy simply because no one's looking for it.
So-called empty space isn't really empty at all. It's actually full of energy. So instead of being like kind of a quiet, empty lake, it's more like the froth at the base of the waterfall or something. But when you go to look at the numbers,
Jennifer will be back, don't worry.
that there's enough energy
We
in
believe in
the
her.
volume of a coffee cup to evaporate all the world's oceans if you could get it all of it.
And here we have a car from 1921 running without a plug. Now look at this old car. And it was pulling energy out of, they just said out of the environment. They couldn't quantify what, but they had the correct frequency. And this had a battery and some wiring, and it was running around without being plugged in. Memo to Tesla Motors, go and research this, get rid of your plugins. And this is one of my favorite, 1902, a farmer and engineer named Stubblefield with Tesla. He had something they called the Earth battery, or the Stubblefield battery, and it had rods going into the earth and some wiring, and it was picking up this magnetic flux field of the planet, and he was running his farm, and Tesla was there with him. 1902. So when I say 100 years, lost century, no.
I do not wish to talk about it myself, but I've been a victim of quite a bit of suppression. So has any other legitimate researcher in this area.
The government is protecting the interest of the oil industry because they're in bed together. Tremendous amounts of contributions for politicians come from these huge companies. And these huge companies have been covering up for years what we're doing to the planet.
Today, we don't have so much big kingdoms. We have cartels. We have a whole set of cartels in an area, interlocking corporations. And behind this, we have a few people who are quite wealthy and who own most things. Any time we have a very powerful cartel or set of people that control a lot of things, that resists any means of changing its inflow of control and its inflow of funds and money and its power. You know, everybody's trying to be the big monkey. It's really as simple as that.
Here we have all the methods. Some of these are common sense, but every one of these are ones I have encountered.
Jennifer seems to be alive. She's going to come back. We're just going to keep watching because Jennifer has seen most of this already, so it's okay.
Encountered and investigated personally with geniuses, engineering geniuses.
We're not going to let Jennifer's janky internet ruin movie night, okay?
And physics geniuses, but strategically impaired inventors. Black shelving. So someone comes along, they offer you $20 million for your device. It's a corporation. They put it on a shelf. Boom. National security orders. We're going to show you one from a man we just met with. Patent seizures. Financial entanglements from investors because they're doing their whole business and legal strategy wrong. Legal entanglements where they end up in court. Threats to the individuals. I had a guy under contract building one. All you had to do is have some thugs come in and say, you, your wife, you're dead, you stop this. And he stopped. And then scientific fraud.
The more powerful the agency, the more powerful the group, the more powerful the cartel, the more they will resort not only to legal means, but to extra legal means to suppress their competition. For example, the greatest espionage in the world is industrial espionage between one corporation and another right here in America. They're the ones that hire all the spies and the spooky equipment and everything like that by far more than the intel agents do. And it's not one cartel, so there are many, many groups in energy, and each of those has become very powerful in its own area, and each one does not wish to see simple little electrical taps pulling out enormous energy from the vacuum. They would much rather see you burning a lot more oil and so forth.
So there's something nefarious afoot. It kind of makes sense from I'm threatening oil monopoly and things like that. I said pretty early on, the problem is suppression. It wasn't really how do I make a free energy machine? It's how do I not get suppressed? Because what's the point? If you make it, you're just going to get clobbered.
And then you have a really big one, media corruption. Or why doesn't everyone in the world know these things have existed? Because, as you'll see in a little bit, the media at a certain high level have operatives from the intelligence community who kill stories on demand. And then the worst, of course, wet works.
It's not totally mafia type stuff. It's not like, you just flat get shot. There's some of that.
The typical threat to the family, right? It's a typical mafia, right? It's not just watch The Godfather, see how they work, right?
There's an interesting record of people that have come up with new alternatives to the oil and gas industry who have met untimely demises. I don't know if you'd say that's true in terms of Nikola Tesla specifically, But he was hit by a taxi cab back in the early 1930s.
No
and
shit, I didn't know that.
Die immediately, but then died alone in a hospital room a few years later.
When they found out that Tesla had passed away in the Hotel New Yorker, they came in, they had the manager of the hotel
will be here in a minute.
open this.
I've got a special surprise for Jennifer. I've got a special bonus video I'm gonna ask Jennifer about when she comes back. But she said she just messaged me on Discord, said she's gonna be right back. Her internet's dying, whatever. But hopefully it works.
Safe, and they took all of Tesla's papers.
So here you have an actual FBI document, and the Department of Defense is demanding they turn over what they seized in 1943. Now, this used to be an urban myth. Oh, well, he had these secret inventions and papers, and the government stole it. No, it's right here.
That technology and what was in those boxes, what was written in those papers, we do not know, and we may not ever know.
So they go in, the FBI takes it. Here, the Department of Defense, years later, is saying, we want all those papers that you confiscated in 1943 upon Nikola Tesla's death. And then you have just flat out patent confiscation through national security orders. Look at this. This is 12 years ago, 5,135 inventions seized under national security orders. In 1971 list includes patents for solar photovoltaic that were subject to restriction because they were more than 20% efficient. The most efficient solar panel you can get right now in 2022 is 22.8%. These were way past that in, how many years is that? 51 years ago. Okay, we're not talking about an extraterrestrial spacecraft or anti-gravity or gravity control. We're talking about just a super efficient solar panel. Those are confiscated. This is one of my favorite statements of this report. One may fairly ask if disclosure of such technologies could really have been detrimental to the national security, or whether the opposite would be closer to the truth.
Yeah, we hear the words vital interests of national security. Well, what we're really talking about there in terms of Iraq, for example, in the early 2000s, which was all trumped up. There were no weapons of mass destruction. That's what was being touted by the media, so Judith Miller at the New York Times and others, to justify what we were doing to get rid of Saddam Hussein. But in fact, the only national security implication of that was the oil industries, what they get from it.
But again, what does national security mean here? Oil, gas, petrodollar, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase. That's the national security in the abused, corrupt system.
It's a policy that the military seems to feel is necessary for national security. However, at this point, we often wonder, 50 years after World War II and the Cold War, whether such sequestering is necessary, especially when fossil fuels are a major cause of global warming.
So here we have a man. He was fired, Dr. Tom Vallone, he's a PhD physicist. He was a patent examiner, and he saw these amazing technologies being confiscated. This is not a conspiracy theory. And he blew the whistle. They fired him, because he saw things that would save the planet. Now, this is way back in the 80s or 90s.
Patent sequestering, which is actually called secretizing, public needs to know at least that every major military agency has a representative at the patent office.
Patent Office in its current approach is it's actually breaking the law. It's trying to make happy the physicists who are with American Physical Society to keep them in power with their ideas, you might say, and withhold from public use good inventions that could solve our problems, like the energy crisis.
Boeing had just finished some work on some propulsion system. Boeing had done it for the Air Force, and they finished the job. And then they applied to their customer at the Air Force for permission to use it on Boeing's commercial airlines, and they were denied. An example of the ongoing suppression of
Jennifer's back. Hey, Jennifer, you got glasses now too? You got alien glasses?
It's really bright where they took me. They have two suns.
Awesome. Well, welcome back.
Like
welcome
these?
back. I do. I have a similar pair. I should get mine out. Except I'm wearing my green alien glasses. I don't want to find the other ones. Hey, Jennifer, I've got a bonus video. It's real quick, but I just saw it on Twitter while you were gone, and I was like, it's just like it's totally separate from this, but I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this. So there is a video on Twitter of this sassy older lady, We don't need the music. But like this sassy older lady dressed in this tight dress, and she's carrying a Dior bag, and the other women are looking at her like in disgust. Look at that old fucking grandma. Like, I don't know. Like, I kind of love it. Honestly, I'm like, you know what, grandma, wear whatever the fuck you want. Like, okay.
And it's not AI.
I don't know. Maybe it is, but that's
She's
that is
rocking
the
that
video.
dress.
Yeah, I think she looks great. Like, if she loves it, who the
Normal-
fuck cares?
I think we should normalize the sexy grandma. She looks amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I liked it. I was like,
different from
go ahead.
the side and the front almost don't match. Like, because her boobs look much bigger in profile, which makes me wonder if it's AI.
I mean, it may be AI, but it may also just be, the angle. Who knows? But I think it proves a point. I don't even care if it's real or not. Okay, she's got a Dior purse. She doesn't
These
give a
women
fuck.
are all like, yeah, that's a totally different body. That's a different
Doesn't
body.
don't
profile
suspend
than the-
disbelief, Jennifer. What the fuck? Can you just let us like have a moment of saying like, is this appropriate for an older lady? And be like, yeah, it is actually.
Yeah, totally rock that shit.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
All right, back to the movie.
Things that seem to be innocuous and a slight improvement in technology.
So, T. Henry Moray had a device, no input energy once he got it set up, output 50 kilowatts. He had multiple assassination attempts and finally was bankrupted in his lab. This was the 1930s.
There is absolutely no question that T. Henry Moray had a system that produced about 50 kilowatts out of a 55-pound box. There's all kinds of skullduggery that happened there. The Russians even tried to kidnap him at one time. It reads like a James Bond movie, but it's real. It really happened, and it really happened here in the United States.
Here's a friend of mine. He was a Wright-Patterson Project Blue Book guy. But when he retired, he built a device that you could put on the air intake of a car. This is in the 80s, where you would get anywhere from 20 to 40% more range, miles per gallon on conventional.
I treat air, and out of air, I make it more than just providing oxygen for the combustion process. There are combustion stimulating molecules and radicals generated in this process. Thunderstorm in a bottle.
He had his lab vandalized, everything stolen, bomb threats, etc. This is a colonel who put his entire life savings into something in the 80s that would have been a game changer. But it wasn't a free energy device. It wasn't something just running out of the 0 point. It would have just gotten more efficiency and cleaned up the air.
Environmental Protection Agency is a bit of a dictatorial police agency. They call themselves a protecting agency, but they are a police agency. EPA cannot approve a fuel-saving device. They put out reams of documentation stating that something will not work.
This gentleman actually took a device from a Russian immigrant and another and kind of packaged it. He didn't actually understand it that much. And you had 26, almost 27 watts going in, 7,460 watts going out, and tested and verified by multiple labs.
Gray started developing this idea 8 years ago. For the past year and a half, he's been trying to get someone in the U.S. government interested. So far, he's had little luck. Gray says he's been getting the same reaction he got 30 years ago when he first proposed his theory. Get this guy out of here, he is crazy. But Gray says it's paranoia. The scientific community isn't willing to accept teachings opposite all previous learning. And the military aerospace industry is afraid to admit decades and billions of dollars worth of research have been wasted.
Now, unfortunately, this disappeared because he actually took the ideas from some geniuses and was trying to make a lot of money. And so his became, I'm calling this crazy inventor syndrome. It's not very nice, but I mean, it's kind of crazy. And here's why it's crazy. They think I have the best thing since sliced bread, and the world's going to be the path to my door. And they don't realize they're going to have corrupt interests from the national security state, corporations, and all kinds of other people stop them. So they think they're going to do a normal investment and normal venture capital and patent it or keep the secret sauce of how it works away from everyone. And in every single case for 100 plus years, they've taken that knowledge to their grave.
You've seen The Paranoid Inventor, plenty of stories on those guys. It's my precious. Precious. I can't share my secret. Everybody will take it from me, right? That this paranoid, I have it. This is worth gazillions of dollars and everything else. And they're so naive, they have no idea. At first, they think they're the first, right? Have no idea the history of this and what happens to the others.
So having done that for 31 years now, I have been dealing with people with these devices since 1991. Almost all of them fall into some part of this syndrome, and it's a tragedy. You'll see the device, I'll have engineers come in and test it. They go, oh no, I'm going to keep it secret. Nobody can know but me. And I need to make a bunch of money. They want to be the next Rockefeller of energy. And the next thing you know, they're dead, or the device is confiscated, or it vanishes in a buyout. So this guy had the same problem. He had a device, they have it there, still running. But they think that no one can know this but them. They're buying into the paranoia. My answer is open source it, dump it on the internet, blockchain, or any way you can. You have no patent, no intellectual property. The whole world knows about it, and every scientific lab in the world can reproduce it. We're going to get to this strategy in a minute. That's how we go. We got to do that. Because the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's attributed to Einstein. But how true is that here? So we have to change our strategy.
Many of these inventors are really good at the technical stuff, but they're not great communicators.
This power is something I have given my life for you, the people. Now, set up this demonstration for y'all. You don't have to be a rocket scientist.
They're not good at business.
Jennifer's going again.
They're not. Like, God can make
Jennifer
technical
again.
geniuses, and he can make business savvy people, but rarely do the two come together in one person.
This story is fascinating because he had a tiny, it's 17 watts, it's like a 20-watt light bulb. It was putting out 200 watts, 10 to 15 times more output than input. And this is in the 80s. This is 40 years ago.
I was not convinced probably on the first 3 times that I saw the device and saw it tested that indeed it put out more energy than it took in. I am convinced now. I was a little bit prejudiced, and like all people that come up with devices like this, you think they're wrong, and so you go down to prove them wrong if you're that interested. And I was not able to prove him wrong, nor were the people that I was with able to prove him wrong.
And here's what happened. He kept the whole thing so secret. It was going through a patenting process, but even the patent application left out a lot of the secret sauce.
Welcome back,
Most of these
Jennifer.
inventors do this. Fatal mistake.
It's all good. Just roll with it. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Is that it was all covered up, that he actually was
Okay,
taken to
learning
court.
how to be
Patent
very
office said,
patient.
even though he had proof that it worked
roll
from
with it.
multiple, very esteemed scientists, patent examiners.
Remember, this is just a lesson in patience. Learn patience.
Like I need
Jennifer.
25 more of them because I feel like I'm getting 25 more since this whole thing. This is just more. This is just
Can't
more.
control everything. Just roll with it. Patience.
It's fine. It's totally fine.
That proved
This is
that the
why I
thing
drink.
actually did as he
Yeah,
said
exactly.
it did. And he got nowhere. He took this to his grave. Look at this video that you're going to see in a moment.
Mr. Newman has been fighting for a patent for years. Many, therefore, considered it ironic when a federal judge appointed the former head of the patent office, William Schuyler, to decide if Newman's device did or did not work. Mr. Schuyler, who is also considered to be an expert on electrical engineering, didn't take long to make his decision. In a report of the special master, Mr. Schuyler states, evidence before the court is overwhelming that Newman has built and tested a prototype of his invention in which the output energy exceeds the external input energy. Therefore, there is no contradictory factual evidence. For the layman, that means the machine works. The expert then goes on to say, the patent office finding that such a machine is impossible is clearly erroneous. Mr. Schuyler also found that the patent office intentionally did not consider the formalities of Mr. Newman's application for a patent. Why wouldn't you go along, again, with a master that's former head of the patent office, who has credentials that the judge called outstanding? Why wouldn't you go along with the man that you recommended in granting a patent?
You ask mean questions, don't you? I think you'd have to address that question to our present commissioner.
Are you acting on his orders?
You might say that, yes.
There you go.
Operability or utility
Like,
is
hang on.
a rejection that virtually
Go ahead.
Shenanigans. I call shenanigans. It's not hard to get a patent. Like, they will patent literally anything.
Yeah.
I
And it's
call
gone up to the
shenanigans.
commissioner, and it's the commissioner who rejected it.
Yeah. So there's word trickling down through that office. If you find anything that is free or cheap energy, send it to the commissioner. And also, that's how, like, even people who apply for patents, that's how they suddenly get disappeared, or visits from men in black suits and that kind of shit. It's like, all I did was apply for a patent, and now my freaking family is being threatened. It's like that, you know. Why? Oh,
Yeah.
go wait! I forgot money and power. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
One of the patent examiners, and there's almost 5,000 of us, were allowed to use in any of our applications. The supervisor particularly always said that, that's something only if you're dealing with energy inventions. So what we find is that throughout the patent office, that rejection for something that we personally would feel would not be operable was not a judgment we were allowed to make, except if we're in that security department that deals with energy and propulsion types of inventions.
Oh.
Here we have a brilliant device, again, almost 40 years ago. Look at the input and output.
Floyd Sparky.
Tested over and over again. 0.3 milliwatts. Output, 223,000 watts. That's 22.4 kilowatts. That's plenty to run your car, your Tesla motor. Now, continuously output if needed on demand. So this little thing that looks like a cigarette pack, when he died under mysterious, they said a heart attack, it's all kinds of evidence he was killed.
This is real, usable power. It's stable. It is not transient. It is not noise. And it is not any other kind of spurious effect. This is a real effect. It's all coming from that little tiny box sitting behind the 500 watts of power. Behind the lamps, that little box is putting out all of that power, well over 500 watts, and yet it is receiving less than 1/3 of a milliwatt of input power.
Wow.
This is April the 30th, 1987, at about 10:30 p.m. in the home of Mr. Sparky Sweet, the inventor of the very first vacuum triode. This is a most historical occasion.
I was altered when I saw it because my view was that you could be anywhere then in the universe. You could be in a cave, you could be anywhere, and you had energy. This was overwhelming to think that I could have energy and the whole world could have energy. That all of a sudden we were on an equality economically. We didn't have to worry about the energy sources.
The rest of that power is coming out of the surging energy of the vacuum. And this little box that you see right here, solid state, no moving parts, is the vacuum triode that's doing this very practical and historical work. He was shot at once with a silenced rifle from about 300 yards. The only thing
That's
saved his life was
crazy.
he was an old guy and very feeble. He was stumbling as he coming up the steps and he fell down. He just flat fell down on the steps, caught his foot and fell right forward. And as his head went forward, the bullet went right by where his head was. And of course, the assassin was never found.
This guy called me up. He said, we really need your help. And I said, the only way you're going to do this is that you disclose it all of it, open source it, get it out there. I will see that we get it out to the entire scientific community. He says, no. It's Gollum, my precious. And I said, dude, you're going to take this to your grave. He took it to his grave. Yep, it's gone.
This very distraught lady who's Sparky's wife, she's saying Sparky's dead. And
a
that
dead
she
man's
said,
contract.
two strange
Dead
men.
man's,
What are you saying? Go ahead.
what do you call it? Like, it's like a dead man's contract or a dead man's contract, something where, like, if you die, then the information, somebody else has a copy, or 2 or 3 other people have copies of the information.
Yeah.
Well, dead
That
man
was
switch is more for like explosions, but yeah, this is. It's so it's like they with well, no, I guess Melinda's agreeing. Yeah, dead
Someone
man
said
switch.
on Rumble,
So-
Rumble said a switch too. Yeah, dead man switch. Everyone
Okay.
agrees.
Yeah,
You're wrong.
so-
Your husband's
Okay.
right.
Right, that'll go right to his head. So, but yeah, no, I thought there was like like another word for it, since it wasn't an explosive, but I could be evidently I'm wrong. So anyway, but yeah, so then those people would release the information in the event of your demise, and that's something that, and this might sound off topic, but it kind of isn't, that Epstein had a similar thing, like, and that's why he probably isn't actually dead. So anyway, that's a whole nother conversation, but yeah, so it's a smart thing to do if you're a brilliant inventor that comes up with a way to fuck up government control over energy.
Yeah, it was irresponsible of him. I'm sorry. Like he'd already gotten shot at. He was an old man. It was irresponsible not to have that information somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
And she called them strange men showed up at about 5 o'clock the night before, and they stayed for a little while, and then they left. And Sparky, an hour or 2 later, having a cup of coffee and just killed over onto the floor, called the ambulance, and she was 75 years old. They would not let her in the ambulance. And the ambulance then called her back about 20 minutes later and said, "We don't think he's going to make it." And that was the end of that, until the next morning when she called my sister-in-law and talked to her and said, "There are men here that said they're FBI, and they got black vans, and they're taking all this equipment. What should I do?"
They're cleaning out his garage.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Eyewitness Newsmakers. I'm your host, Doug Miller. On March the 23rd, chemists Stanley Pons and Martin Fleischmann rocked the world of science. They announced that they had achieved cold fusion in their laboratory at the University of Utah. The promise of a cheap and a plentiful energy supply grabbed the world's attention.
It didn't put out a lot of power, but what was scary is that this in 1989, it made the cover of all the magazines. The way they took that avenue of discovery out of the scientific world is that there were people who were paid, who were corrupted through scientific fraud at MIT. Next slide. Dr. Eugene Maloff, dear friend of mine, PhD, Harvard and MIT, brilliant man.
There was a man named Eugene Maloff who it's quite possible was eliminated by the powers that be in the fossil fuel industry. He died in 2004. He was murdered that year. But Maloff was an extremely important figure in the alternative energy world, especially in terms of what's called cold fusion.
And he was at MIT in the science office for education when he saw how they had changed the data on the reproducing the Pons-Fleischmann experiment. And he blew the whistle.
I inadvertently was looking through some piles of paper that had been given to me in a casual manner by all these hot fusion physicists as they were trying to do their calorimetric repeat of the Pons-Fleischmann experiment. And to my utter astonishment, I can remember sitting at my desk in my study and actually seeing these 2 sheets of paper, one dated July 10th, 1989, and another dated July 13th, 3 days apart. The difference between July 10th and 13th was dramatic. And I was stunned. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It looked like monkey business to me at the time, and it has turned out to be exactly that. It was a lower echelon person in the Plasma Fusion Center at MIT, one of the 16 authors of a scientific paper done under Department of Energy contract that had altered data. And that data is scientific fraud, as far as I'm concerned, and many other people are concerned.
And it was, it was hell on wheels. Finally get someone who brings him a 0-point device, solid state, no moving parts. And I said, Gene, we need to get this out to the public very quickly. Oh no, they want to keep it secret. I begged him and I begged him and I begged him and I begged him. He was beaten to death when he was over at his parents' home and was killed, murdered. Made to look like some thugs. They were thugs, but it wasn't a random murder. And the device vanished with him. Good friend of mine, dear friend.
What we really had was a threat to the scientific establishment. The threat of it even being implied as real and having monies, shall we say, being diverted from their favored programs. And that was a threat. No question. It was an actual threat of that happening.
U.S. scientists making a huge breakthrough. A source tells CNN that for the first time ever, researchers have been able to create energy from a fusion reaction. Now, Laura, I could explain all of this in great detail, of course, but basically, it's a giant step towards a clean energy future without dependence on fossil fuels.
Which is the first time, by all accounts, they've gotten more heat out than they put in.
Not is that Bill Nye? He's not even a real scientist.
This supposed breakthrough.
It's all theater. He doesn't have to be a real scientist. CNN is theater. Fox News is theater. It is all theater. They are but actors playing their role, Jennifer.
Yes, they are. Strutting and fretting upon the stage.
Mm-hmm. Everything is fake and gay.
Announced just as we were finishing this film is a total distraction. The net gain, 0.1 kilowatt, is enough to boil a kettle of water and not much else. But what is truly baffling is that they are not counting the actual input required to power the lasers to get the machine going. When you count the energy it took to generate the fusion reaction, it's actually a 1,200 times net loss. Furthermore, fusion reactions can generate heat in excess of 3 million degrees, which would ignite the oxygen in the surrounding air if a breach ever occurred. Everything about this is, at best, wrong. At worst, fraudulent. So why is this fake solution being pushed by every media outlet on the planet?
He's another fraud.
When we have had real solutions hidden in
Who is that? Oh yeah, fuck that asshole. Yeah. Fuck. This is again. It's like they're all actors. This is like it's the same thing with like the failed comedians being the figureheads on the conservative right.
Oh my!
It's like Dave Rubin and Konstantin Kisin and all of these people that like tried to make it as comedians, Dave Smith, and they couldn't make it as comedians because they're not fucking funny. But they're enough for what they need to do here.
Just need that face, that recognizable face.
And they'll build you a brand around you, and they'll get you media training, and they'll get you all the nice clothes, and you'll get the look they want you to have, and all you need to do is go along with it.
Well, they did the same thing with like Stephen Colbert and Whoopi Goldberg and on the left. Like they're just recognizable faces that people are told are funny and friendly and on your side or whatever side you're on. There's somebody for you, and it's just burned out people that are being puppeted.
Every media outlet on the planet, when we have had real solutions hidden in classified programs for 100 years.
Different people have different devices. Of the ones that have promise, there's certain themes that keep re-emerging. The first theme is torsion physics. Torsion physics is a fancy way of saying something that spins like this and something that spins like this. Think of it as like an hourglass shape. I think that it has to do with it representing the way energy moves in the universe. at the biggest levels, like the
Jennifer, I gotta pee real quick, so I need you to not drop your internet for like 2 minutes so I can pee. Okay, I'm gonna let this play. I can't pause it or I'll be back quick, but
galaxy.
if your internet drops, then the show's over, basically. Or I'll be back in 2 minutes.
It's a spiral. A tornado on Earth is this vortex motion. Our DNA is a stranded spiral. A second theme is plasma. A lightning bolt is plasma, right? The spark gap in a car is plasma. So plasma is the fourth state of matter. Solid water is ice. Add more energy, it melts and becomes water. Add more energy, it becomes steam. And then if you were to add even more energy, say through running an electric current through that steam or through any gas, you end up with plasma. You can think of it as maybe this liminal state or in-between state between the physical world and the non-physical world, whatever that is. There's some evidence emerging that plasma can provide a shielding of inertia. So if you imagine that you're a UFO and you need to zip around at crazy speeds, you can't pump the brakes too fast, otherwise everyone's going to slam into the windshield, right?
We'll be okay,
But if
guys.
you
My
had
husband
some sort
stopped
of
watching
inertial
the internet
shield
TV,
around
so
the
it's
craft,
giving me more
i.e.
signal.
like a plasma shield,
I'm back.
you might be able
Everything's
to
fine.
Everybody say thank you to Heaven. He's
inertia
turned off the
surrounding
internet
that and
TV, so I'm
keep the
getting better
occupants
signal
safe.
now.
I think this
Thank you, Jennifer's husband, for giving up the internet so Jennifer and I can stream. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and I'm talking to your mother via
is
Oh
why
God, he's texting my mother. Oh, I can't English.
I'm even texting your father.
Okay.
Leave him alone, Jennifer. Let the man live.
I'm trying to. Everything is 3 feet away from me, though.
I text your father.
seem to glow. Plasma glows. A third theme is
like
that
mute.
of the ether. The conventional or mainstream understanding of the base level of reality is maybe the quantum sea, tiniest particles all bumping into each other. The ether conceives of this differently. It says that there's a kind of a fluid geometry that is the base layer of physical reality, and that to understand that fluid geometry is to be able to really understand electricity, magnetism, and gravity. And this, according to Tesla and others, is the key to really understanding what he was getting at with all of his wireless transmission of energy stuff. But I believe that we're going to see something
I like
the
Hubby Fire. That's
return
cute,
of
Chad.
the ether.
Hmm.
It won't be called that.
Hubby
but it'll
Fire.
be something like that that's going to enable us to make much more progress in these areas in the coming century.
This gentleman, he had a car that would run on water, but it had to be modified.
A local inventor has discovered a way, hear this, to use water to run your car.
It's a major
Oh,
breakthrough
yeah?
that will no
Water?
doubt make motorists happy. And as Ralph Robinson explains, the Pentagon is also showing lots of interest in this project.
Yeah, I bet they
And
are.
he always kept that secret. He had a patent that he falsified the voltage and the frequency, cycles per second, because he didn't want anyone to reproduce it and leapfrog him financially. Again, this crazy inventor syndrome. And
I love that. He straight up just lied to the patent office because he's like, fuck you, assholes. Like, I know you're going to fuck me over and try to steal my shit, so I'm not going to tell you what it really is.
Yep.
We got a super chat. Okay, everyone ready for a dad joke? Everyone brace for dad joke. What do you call an alien with 3 balls? An extra terrestrial? An extra terrestrial. I had to think about that one. I had to pronounce that one phonetically, actually. A little bit of a tongue twister, I don't mind saying.
Extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrial.
That is so cute.
All right. Thanks.
Did I? And I know I've told you before, like many years ago, my dad actually, he was a business consultant for a little bit, for a spell.
Yeah.
And there was a man in California who had been working on, it's almost a perpetual motion energy, perpetual motion engine. And
I think I remember this story. Go ahead. I remember this.
Yeah. And so my dad was really excited about it. So the guy was working with my dad to formulate a business plan and all this other stuff. And it wasn't 100% there, but he was getting really close. And he was excited, like they were getting there. They're working on like terms to pay my dad to help him put his business plan together and get ready to bring this thing to market. And he was looking for financiers to put, to go forward. And all of a sudden, like my dad didn't hear from him for like a couple of months went by, nothing, just dead silence. And then finally he contacted my dad. He's like, never mind. I've decided not to go forward with the project. I've sold my idea to another company, and that was pieced out.
Wow.
And yeah. So, I mean, I've seen this in my own life where people working on something like this are just, if the threats don't work, you'll be unalived. But yeah, the threat worked for him. He took the money and freaking just shut up and left, and that was the end of it. Never heard from him again.
That's so crazy.
What happened, and when he passed away, there was a whole warehouse full of floppy disks and papers and everything, and his heirs wanted to sell it off. What people didn't realize is that this car was the least important thing Stan Meyer had. He had a toroid, and the toroid was a donut-shaped electromagnetic device that had a national security order slapped on it. Because I was going to get it and openly disclose it.
Though the scientific establishment may have ignored the likes of Meyer, the powerful military-industrial complex certainly hasn't. Over the past 10 years, Meyer says he's been quietly approached by many influential organizations who would never admit publicly to their involvement with him.
This was a disaster. If we had a few $100,000, we were going to offer, but we made it clear we were going to open source it. Well, they had an engineering group from Michigan come in who had a lot more money because they had a big backer. And they were going to monetize it, keep it secret, try to repatent it, all the usual crazy ideas, which would be great if you're just developing a new software program, but not something that's going to change the world forever. Can't do it. They were working on a couple of years. I get this hysterical call. He says, Dr. Greer, we need your help. We need your help. He says, they're on the run for their lives. They've been sabotaged. They've had death threats. And my advice was, forget about Gollum and be in my ring and my precious ring. In this case, it was literally a precious ring. Just put it out there. I will help spread it. We will build these up independently, have labs test it, and you cannot put that toothpaste back in the tube. You squeeze it hard enough. He says, yes, you're right. It's probably the only way, but they think they can find a safe country to go to. I said, you're going to have to go to another star system, my friend. I literally said that. No way that's going to happen. So sure enough, I find out a few months later, I'm meeting with a high-tech guy in Orange County. That entire team was assassinated.
Wow.
The one survived.
Oh.
It was just crying like a baby in this man's office.
Technology shows that we can release energy up to beyond 2.5 million barrels of oil per gallon of water and do it safely. So it gives us the ability to not only sustain and maintain the economies of the world, but also give us the abilities to handle the environmental pollution problems at the same time.
This sort of encapsulates, 5 or 10 of the suppression techniques, all the way from murder to crazy inventor syndrome, falsifying your patent, trying to make money first instead of proving the science first, etc. And of course, he took this to his grave. He was poisoned and killed at a Cracker Barrel, an ignominious death, if ever I heard.
Cracker Barrel, of all places.
Stan Meyer's water engine points us
You
to
know,
a deeper
listen,
mystery.
if I had to die at a restaurant, Cracker Barrel wouldn't be the worst. I wouldn't actually be like that upset about it. I'd be like, okay, this could have been worse, I guess. I got some dumplings on the way out the door, and that was pretty rad.
Could have been a Golden Corral, so I guess take Cracker Barrel.
Could have been a Golden Corral, exactly. It could have been a Golden Corral. It could have been a shitty Chinese place, or like a sushi place where I got food poisoning or something like that. Like, could have been any number of things that would be worse than this.
True.
Cracker Barrel is delicious, Jennifer. I don't care what anyone says.
We had some in. Trying to remember what state we were in when we had Cracker Barrel, and it was vastly disappointing.
Really?
And they even got our order wrong. Oh yeah, it was awful. It was terrible. But I don't know. We ordered the food and picked it up and brought it to our hotel room, and it was like they got one of the orders completely wrong. They missed ingredients on mine, and then it was just meh. So we both kind of went, why is everybody so excited about this? I don't know. I had salmon. I'm like, you can't fuck salmon up, but it was.
Oh, no. Listen, when you go to Cracker Barrel, you either get breakfast, like their breakfast like sampler with like all the different things. You got to get like the loaded hash browns. Those are real good. You got to
Ooh.
get fried apples. Those are the best. And then if you're in like insistent on doing some sort of lunch option, just get like the chicken and dumplings or get like an assortment of like the appetizers or whatever. That's like that is peak Cracker Barrel. You don't get salmon when you go to Cracker Barrel. Gotta get something southern. Get chicken and dumplings.
Yeah, I'm not a big dumpling fan, but I mean, yeah, I'm open to it. We'll give it another shot. Could have just been that particular Cracker Barrel was having an off day.
Mm-hmm. But you got to get the fried apples. If you do nothing else, you got to get the fried apples.
Okay, noted. Yeah, there's like a Cracker Barrel. Yeah, it's on. There's a Cracker Barrel every other block out here, so I think it'll be pretty easy to accommodate.
I imagine. So everyone is judging Jennifer for getting fucking salmon at Cracker Barrel.
I was sick of burgers and shit road food. I was so tired of it. I needed just a nice dinner. I got a salad with salmon because I needed something fresh and lighter, and it was ass. So
breakfast casserole.
My husband got a chicken sandwich, and it was terrible.
People say the chicken fried steak is good. I've never had it, but other people have. But it is southern, so that does match Cracker Barrel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, fine, all right. So they're not good at my bougie food. I'll try something easier.
Cracker Barrel is not bougie. You got to think like Cracker Barrel is where you go like late at night when you've been drinking or something like that, and you just want to eat breakfast and you don't want to go to Denny's because like Denny's would be fine too if you in like a case of an emergency, but like you can get like something hearty and good and tasty and comforting. It's really good.
Loaded hash browns sounds boss. I'm gonna definitely have to try those.
Mm-hmm.
Concerning energy in our universe, microscopic ball lightning. The late physicist Ken Shoulders developed a technology called charge clusters, which are likened to ball lightning. When they are discharged, they actually tap into the zero-point energy field. This is where most of the power in Stan Meyer's device was coming from. Like Stan, Ken Shoulders faced terrible suppression.
And so I met with this CEO, and he says, yes, they approved a $5 million grant from DOE so we could develop this further, because one of the effects it had that they were really pursuing was putting low-level, initially, radioactive waste in these charge clusters, and it would cause isotopes that were non-radioactive to be created. What does this mean? Clean up all the radioactive waste. However, the phenomenon, the reason it was doing it was that it was actually activating, as it were, this baseline energy field that's at the fabric of space and time. And that's what they didn't want out. So in the rarest of events, that grant was published, and these vicious people who want to keep all this stuff secret went into the Secretary of Energy's office and said, pull that grant. And they pulled it.
Another technology to harness the power of ball lightning is being developed by a team of engineers in Florida. They have successfully tested several prototypes that allow any internal combustion engine to run mostly on water.
You know what I have heard, though?
What have you heard?
That our agreement with the aliens, part of it is that we agree not to promote advanced technology and get like, for instance, zero-G energy or things that run on water or anything that has to do with hovering or anti-gravity, that they want to keep us primitive and keep us localized here on this earth. And because space travel requires fuel is expensive, fuel is hard to put together, because you have to fossil fuels and everything. And so they want to keep us local and basically prison planet E, but they just don't want us to advance.
One of the most aggressive beings in the galaxy.
Husband is helping. I don't.
We're very violent.
He says we're the most aggressive beings. I disagree. We're the most aggressive, but we're definitely violent. But yeah, no, it's just because they want to keep us in control to use us as food. So, you know.
Oh, good.
They don't want us mucking up things. Yeah.
That's great, Jennifer. Great. We're gonna be
Yeah,
alien
you're
food. It's
you're
fine.
welcome.
Whatever.
Ray of sunshine. Yeah.
It'll be fine.
That's why we need bugs, so we can then feed
Don't
the
need-
alien.
Oh, okay.
A little quicker, huh?
So we're going like full on War of the Worlds now. We're trusting on microbiomes to kill the fucking aliens, like in War of the Worlds. We couldn't do it, but you know what? The bacteria can.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Actually, I mean, well, that's a whole nother conversation. Never mind.
Yeah. What if it's the aliens fattening everyone up? It's true.
It's more the negative energy that they feed on. That's why they keep us fighting and in constant conflict, because the negativity, the energy from pain and anger and anguish is very delicious. So we've done a DISENRAGED on this, I'm sure. Yeah.
We need to do another one on the reptilian. We need to find a better video about the reptilians.
The search is ongoing. Yeah.
There's got to be at least what. How is it possible that there is not like one good comprehensive? Here is what the reptilians are and all the fucked up shit they're doing. Like, how is this possible? There has to be like one comprehensive video.
It's like what it is it's underneath lecture by Dr. So-and-so or woo-woo person so-and-so, number 47. So it's not in any of the taglines, and I can't locate it. It's like you come across it and all of a sudden you're like, oh, there it is. But like, I don't know how to find it because I found lectures and then they mention it and then they kind of move on. Or I found little 8 to 15 minute videos, but I haven't found anything that's like a nice solid hour or so. And I'm just going to I'll keep searching. We'll find something. And also there was one that was really good and I cannot find it anymore. Like it's been bye-byed.
Got erased off the internet forever.
Probably. Yeah. It says too much. So we'll find something.
This is a phenomenal system, patented, but it runs internal combustion engines on water with a little bit of gasoline in it so you don't have to modify the engine. It won't rust. What this means is with Stan Meyer, you really had to have a different kind of engine and spark plug and all that. This conventional spark plug engine, all of it, because it has enough of the lubricant oil in it that it won't just freeze up the engine. And this is really what he's doing. Stan Meyer, this device, and many of the others, Ken Shoulders charge clusters, they're creating these small microscopic ball lightnings that when they discharge are tapping into that 0-point energy field and creating the motive force.
Boom! That's why the concussion from the thunderclap is so huge. There's a huge amount of energy that's actually sourced from the vacuum energy. All the dots connected. This is what's happening, right? So we need to make the thunderclap engine.
Many times breakthroughs are made because the inventor or the scientist was inspired by looking at nature. The same systems and the same mechanisms that exist in nature that you can see can also exist in the devices that you build. So by trying to mimic that, you can tap into the intelligence that nature has already shown you when it comes to being efficient with the energy transmission mechanisms.
Another current technology was recently investigated by Dr. Greer and his engineering team at an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 magnesium alloy specially configured plates. This thing's the size of a nice sized shoebox. The circuitry you see on the right is a misdirect because the guy has crazy inventor syndrome and thinks he can keep it secret and make $1 trillion.
You don't interfere with the big, powerful people. You don't put them out of business. They're still in business. They still have those 50-year leases on the lines and all the power transformers. You'd be able to get one of my power plants, just replace a coal-fired plant, you know. But it wouldn't be big news or anything because I'm just selling the electricity to them, okay? And then they're going to say, wow, we're making more money at this plant than we are the others. So they're going to put them around, you see? They're not going to let me in. They're going to fight me tooth and nail. But I'm going to be very sneaky about it.
This thing for 3 years had been sitting in this near a chicken coop in his backyard out in the desert, putting out 3 kilowatts of power continuously, and we cranked it up to 5 kilowatts. No input power. And it's running off the magnetic flux of the space around it that he can tune to any place on the earth so it's correct, and boom. This thing, solid state, no moving parts. We just saw this. But he's a textbook case of making every wrong decision. Tried to patent it. Well, you'll see in a moment what happened. He ended up getting put in prison for a week. He has had sabotage, death threats, murder of people around him.
I spent 8 days in that jail. When I went before the court, the judge said, "Come here, Doug." He says, "Read this. You sign it, you go home. You don't sign it, you go to jail." And all it was is, I will not ever in my lifetime, ever, through me or anyone else, if anybody else was manufacturing these, I'll go to jail.
And here's the secrecy order he was slapped with. But look at the date. 1984. It's almost 40 years ago. So, doing the same thing.
Committed no crime.
People think this is a myth. No, here's a secrecy order.
See, so I don't want to go through that again. I'm scared my family and everybody. So now what we're going to do, we're going to be very quiet. I'm going to build my 1 megawatt. It'll take 2.5 years to build it because it's very complicated. I gotta acclimate it to the earth.
Technologies like this and countless others will never see the light of day without a radically new strategy. Dr. Greer is preparing to launch a multi-centered, state-of-the-art research and development lab that will develop
This is why his life is in danger.
Technology, live streaming 24/7 for security and transparency. All
That's
research
smart.
results, data, and plans would be released to the world
Won't
open
matter.
source, freely available to the public and the scientific community. This will require broad public support to make this a reality. With this strategy, zero-point energy is achievable, but it is only half of what has been suppressed.
Now we get into the really cool stuff. Look at the dates. 1919, Pakowski-Frost experiment, where they actually had high-frequency systems where things levitated, defying gravity.
Yeah, I like
And then
this
T.
stuff.
Townsend Brown, and he had very high-voltage systems, electrogravitic, they call it, where high voltage would cause this lift effect and would actually create, if you will, a bubble, an electromagnetic field that would allow an object to move at enormous speeds and free of the forces of gravity, what's called gravity control.
An Office of Naval Research report on T. Townsend Brown's electrogravity device includes a transcript of a conversation between Major General V.E. Bertrandius and Lieutenant General H.A. Craig. Bertrandius remarks, "It sounds terribly screwy, but Friday I went down to a place called the Townsend Brown Foundation, and believe it or not, I saw a model of a flying saucer."
1952.
Townsend Brown was an independent experimenter, and he actually worked on, as you can see, very large replications of saucers that he believed were vital for a different type of propulsion.
The big question is, can I prove this? This I consider to be a very serious Rosetta Stone. This is Young Men magazine. The article is titled, "The G Engines Are Coming." By far the most potent source of energy is gravity. Using it as power, future aircraft will attain the speed of light. Now, in this article, they give you the names, they give you the time frame, they give you the dates, they give you the defense contractors, universities, and research centers that are actively pursuing cracking the gravity barrier. They talk about the Lear Corporation, the Sperry Rand Corporation, the Bell Aircraft Corporation, all trying desperately to crack the gravity barrier. And it's clear from the eyewitness testimony, they've done it.
And then we have Michael Schratt to thank for this, great archivist and historian. And he's found these journals that date from the 50s, one, 1956, where the big buzz in the aerospace industry was anti-gravity, quote unquote, the G engines, gravity engines. And this was actually in the open literature until they figured out how it really works, and it all went black.
Now, where did they get the
and
technology?
Hang on.
This was an...
Go ahead.
And they just, I think it was in, just few years ago, 4 years ago, something. One of the female scientists who was working on the latest anti-grav project was told it was okay to publish something after like being told for years, don't say a freaking word. And then someone said, yeah, go ahead and publish something. And she did, and started getting death threats. She's the one who got her hands burned. She was mentioned last week's show, and she showed up having unalived herself after telling all her friends, if I show up unalived, self-unalived, it wasn't me. And sure enough, and then some other people affiliated with anti-grav technology are now dead or missing. So this is one of the big holy grails that they don't want us to have. And obviously it's been going on since the 50s.
Interesting crash retrieval. This is prior to Roswell. This is November 1946. This was seen by a courier who went to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and he had a guard, an MP who he was friends with. And this guard said, you know what? I got something I want to show you. So he brought him into this facility at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and there was this craft sitting there. And this little red dot that I have here shows you the attempted point of entry. They were using a diamond tip drill bit to try to get into this craft. So the question is, if this is one of ours, why would they be trying to get into this? So is this the beginning origin point of a reverse engineering program?
You know, some of the UFO crash retrieval material, we've looked at it and we found that the materials used are very strange.
When extraterrestrial material is recovered through military crash retrievals and its metallic structure is examined under a microscope, the metal is so pure that we could not replicate it, even in a vacuum in space. This is because extraterrestrial crafts are not manufactured on a Ford assembly line the way humans would manufacture something. Everything in the material universe has a frequency and a corresponding sound vibration that creates and sustains its being. Extraterrestrials manufacture objects by first creating a resonant frequency. For instance, the frequency of a flying saucer. This is a sort of vibrational blueprint that interacts with the substrate of the physical universe, pulling into existence from other dimensions atoms and molecules that then organize and condense into the structure of the object being created. In this way, extraterrestrial material is literally manifested into being, like transdimensional 3D printing or Star Trek's replicator technology.
I remember this episode.
Moving on to 1963. This is a Marine. He was called from Cherry Point, North Carolina, to an undisclosed location, and his job was to guard something there. And when he got to this facility, they opened up these doors, and he saw, propped up on scaffolding, this 40-foot diameter dish-shaped craft that looked like a fat hamburger. It was about 15 feet tall. He noticed
Like
that
an M&M.
there was a white circle painted on the floor, and his
It
job
looks like a little
was...
M&M.
Yeah,
Like a big
it does
silver
look-
M&M. They're saying it looks like a fat hamburger. I'm like, that's an M&M.
Or Tic Tac.
was to
No,
shoot
well,
to
Tic Tacs,
kill
M&Ms, all the
anyone
candy.
who would
Yeah.
try to breach that circle. They were trying 3 ways to get into this craft. Number 1 was a diamond tip drill bit. So we've got 2 cases of this now. Number 2 was an acetylene torch. That failed. And then the final attempt was bringing in 2 18-wheeler tractor-trailer lowboy trucks that had these very high voltage generating devices, and they were using a laser to get into this craft.
In a previously unreleased interview with aerospace designer Brad Sorensen, Sorensen describes a secret air show that took place at Norton Air Force Base on November 12th of 1988, a classified military exhibit in which so-called alien reproduction vehicles were unveiled. The craft were hovering off the floor with no landing gear underneath and nothing supporting it from above. When asked, where did they get these concepts from, Sorensen states, they said they
That
copied.
reminds me of Der Glocken.
By the way, these
Of what?
Der Glocken, that was the Nazi bell that was supposed to be an anti-grav spacecraft, the ports for which are still found in Germany, but the Glocken is gone. But they have found the schematics for the design. It's very similar to this.
It reminds me of that.
What year is it?
It reminds me of the ship in the movie. What the fuck is it? The one that Keanu Reeves was in the remake.
Day of the Earth Stood Still.
Day of the Earth Stood Still. Yes, in that one.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, it does.
went all through the solar system. The components, Mercury era, 1959 to 1960s, early 60s. So these were operational. When did we master gravity control, where these were being functionally built by classified projects here on Earth, not extraterrestrial? October 1954.
Oh God, Murphy's back. Murphy's getting some extra dad jokes in, and we appreciate that, Murphy. There was a kidnapping at a Chicago school today, but it's okay. He eventually woke up. Okay.
I think you've done that one before.
Maybe. I mean, could be construed as a little bit inappropriate, but that's okay. Joking about kidnapping, but I'll allow it. It's only in Chicago, so it's probably okay.
This is why punctuation and spacing is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Says editor me.
Thank you.
So here we are, riding on the surface of the roads in cars belching out garbage and pollution. When I say a lost century, it really is.
They were already working on these programs as early as 1948. During the Clinton administration, they were spending $100 million a day on black budget programs. The big question is, has this been integrated into the aerospace industry? And if we look at what the witnesses are reporting, they're reporting similar things across time, across dates, locations. Now, this is March 23rd, 1966. This is Temple, Oklahoma. Primary eyewitness name is Eddie Laxon. He was an electrical engineer. He was working at Shepherd Air Force Base. So he's commuting to work. It's about 5:06 in the morning. And I want to stress that this is not my case. This is an actual United States Air Force Project Blue Book case, and it can be verified through Project Blue Book. So he's going to work in the morning, and all of a sudden, something is blocking the road in front of him. And he notices something that looks all the world like a tipped over bowling pin. It's about 75 feet across. On the starboard side of the craft that you see here, there was an air stair cutout door and a man. I want to stress this was a man. This is not an alien. He was wearing two-piece green military fatigues. He had a baseball cap with the bill turned up, and he was shining a flashlight near the bottom of the steps. Above this air stair door, there was an interesting stinger or spire that tapered back and swept back to the end of the vehicle. And at the end of this spire, there was about an 8-inch diameter sphere. And that's interesting because I keep getting reports from the eyewitnesses of spheres and balls and protrusions and prongs sticking out of these UFOs. And if you look at what the eyewitnesses are describing to us, and you look and examine high voltage electrical equipment, it's a match. I believe I can make a case that the components that people are seeing on these UFOs are off-the-shelf high voltage electrical components. When this gentleman, who was this military green fatigue gentleman, when he noticed that he was being watched by Eddie Laxon, he scurried up this ladder, he slammed this door shut, and then there was a high-pitched drilling noise. This craft levitated off the ground and then took off like a spark on a grinding wheel and made no sonic boom whatsoever. This is back in 1966. Rockets are obsolete. Solid rockets are obsolete. Jets are obsolete.
Like an 80s montage right now.
I'm digging this.
It's like the part in Rocky where they're running on the beach and just like riling each other up, and then there's music in the background. It's all very dramatic. 80s movie, the 80s movie montage needs to come back. It just does. Complete with freeze. You gotta have the freeze frame at the end though. The freeze frame is what makes the entire fucking montage. Exactly. Yep. Freeze frame.
Yeah, there's a going theory that all of the UFOs are actually from here, that they're not actually alien spacecraft, but they're actually earthbound, earth-based experimental vehicles. And I'm open to it being probably a mash of both. It's probably some ours, some not ours.
Yeah,
I'm
probably
down with it.
true. Probably true.
Area 51 something light.
So how can all this be true and we're still flying jets?
Hmm.
This Elon Musk tweeted this out.
Real.
With the Monty Python theme music. Fuck yeah, Elon. Nice.
That's all very comical. It's not comical when astronauts I know have friends that died in this, the Challenger tragedy.
Yeah.
Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction.
We're awaiting word. They're holding their breath, just, I'm sure, as everyone else is. In the center of the fire and the smoke, you can't see any form of what was once the shuttle.
I'm convinced that space mission was sabotaged.
Oh yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Someone said it was blown out of the sky by aliens, but I don't know. I mean, who was it that it was a channeler who was like, yeah, my friends did that. My friends they had to because they were going to discover something and they blew it up. And I'm like, I don't know about that, but it was definitely sabotage if nothing else. And if you were X-Gen and you were in grade school during this time, or high school or junior high, you saw this live because they took us all in for, like, we had the big TV monitor rolled into the library. We all came in and sat down to watch the launch, and then it blew up, and we kind of sat there like, what happened. Like, we didn't quite understand it, but they brought us in because there was a teacher on there. The chick with the fluffy dark brown hair, I think, was a teacher.
It was a
And yeah, it's like
traumatizing experience of everyone's childhood.
Oh yeah, and it's one of those things where you knew where you were when it happened, like Kennedy and the 86 explosion, Challenger explosion, and fucking 9/11. Like, you knew where you were when that happened. It was crazy. But yeah, I don't think it needed to happen. And the fact that they brought it down to like a faulty tile.
Yeah.
Really? How did you find a faulty tile in the debris of a vaporized, exploded fucking spaceship? Are you kidding me? Faulty tile. My ass.
Everything is faking gay. Every fucking thing.
It's true.
40 years, 50 years, 60 years after we already had gravity control. This is the biggest cover-up and scandal in the known history of the world. Full stop.
Yeah.
We've already got the technology to do away with solid rocket boosters. We've already got the technology to take away completely liquid rockets. Why wasn't the Challenger crew briefed on this technology if we already had the breakthrough in 1954?
And so then people get into, how can this be? I put this out a lot because it's a not declassified document. But you have an organization called MAGIC, M-A-J-I, Majority Intelligence Committee, and a few others that run these covert projects. They are beyond black. What do I mean? They're unacknowledged special access projects. I'm sure you also unacknowledged. But these are the projects that are off the radar, even of the people who manage the black projects. So I call this beyond black. These are way off book. And this was a security alert with the distribution list back in the 90s. So I gave this some people at the Pentagon, like Admiral Wilson, who I briefed, who was the head of intelligence, Joint Chiefs of Staff, and they got inside the program. I'm doing that now for a whole new generation of people since the law was passed to get to the bottom of what UFOs are, or what they call now UAPs. Nobody calls them that. It's ridiculous. Let me tell you what a UFO, they make up these fake names.
I like UFO better.
That are obfuscating unexplained aerial phenomenon, like ball lightning or something. No, it isn't. First of all, it's not unexplained. Secondly, it's not aerial, and it's not just some phenomenon. They're either man-made UFOs or extraterrestrial. That's it. Keep it simple. The hardest thing for the senators and the White House people and the general public, and particularly the media, to understand, or scientists, is that if this is true, how could it be that it has been kept secret from the people? They're very good at counterintelligence. So it's structured, as Eisenhower warned us, beware of the military-industrial complex.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
A very strong warning of what he saw coming, because he'd been living with it for 8 years. The CIA was only created in 1947, and the Pentagon and its generals were, gaining much more power and as the nuclear age progressed. And Eisenhower saw it. The combination of military power with industry. If you think about what the industrial part is of the military-industrial complex, the industrial is basically the fossil fuel giants and the chemical companies and the now increasingly the pharmaceutical companies that are running rampant and increasing their wealth by astronomical proportions.
They freaking own everything.
The value of the raw materials.
Yeah, they do.
Look at these numbers: $150 trillion in oil. That's actually an underestimate now. 40 trillion in coal, $1 trillion in uranium. But that's just the raw. When you multiplier effect, when you take it from there to retail and creating the energy, it's many more hundreds of trillions. And that's what's being protected, along with the Bretton Woods petrodollar, where they decided to make the dollar the reserve currency of the world, but it's based called the petrodollar. So the entire macroeconomic, global economic system is sitting on a crumbling foundation of the energy system we use. And it's going to have to be transitioned. It should have happened 100 years ago. Now we're out of time.
The malefactors of great wealth, as Teddy Roosevelt once.
Go ahead.
Everybody who tries to get off the petrodollar gets removed. And we just had that. Well, they had that with Saddam Hussein, and now with Iran, because the king of he was the Shah or whatever. He was trying to get off the petrodollar, or it was the new monarchy that they're not allowing to take power. But there's anytime anybody in the Middle East wants to, or in Europe or wherever, is trying to get off the petrodollar, they get removed from power. And the whatever forces that be that are supporting the petrodollar, which is interesting because America's power is not where it used to be. It is declining. At quite the rate. And they're still protecting us. They're still protecting our power. And I find that interesting, considering other countries would play ball a little better that are more aligned with, say, the communist agenda, and that would be, China, Russia, North Korea, and also, some of the Middle Eastern companies. So it's just countries. So it's just weird that this is still being supported. I don't know. Something weird is afoot. It's just, I don't know. I'm watching carefully, though.
About writing the laws. Paying politicians to write the laws that they want. Why is that happening? Robert Kennedy Jr. wrote the introduction to both editions of my recent book, which was Horsemen of the Apocalypse Became Climate in Crisis in its most recent version. And he said this, which I think is quite apropos to what I've been talking about today. They work together in lockstep, coordinated by Capitol Hill trade associations, lobbying firms, captive agencies, and paid-off politicians to increase authoritarian control, to transform all of us into mindless consumers, to shift middle-class wealth to billionaire plutocrats, and to liquidate our Purple Mountain majesties and our entire planet. They have declared war on democracy and personal freedom.
A shadowy government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of the national interest, free from all checks and balances, and free from the law itself.
So get your mind around this. There is the government, constitutional government of the United States. And then there's this other secret government operation, which has more money, more power, more technology. It is a criminal enterprise. It is not sanctioned by the president, and it is not sanctioned by Congress. And yet they're using our tax dollars and are raping the planet and destroying the earth and impoverishing half the planet. That's what we have to fix.
We've got at least 109 UFO crash retrieval cases. All we need is one to be correct. And if they exploited the technology associated with these craft and procure that and put it into our aerospace industry, they have made a tremendous breakthrough in aerospace technology that I think that our Challenger astronauts should have been briefed on, our Apollo astronauts should have been briefed on, and we could have avoided all of this obsolete technology, and we could all move forward to that wonderful world and are not basically bound to these oil industries.
Some people wonder why we don't know more about this. Why isn't the media telling us what's really going on? We have about 15 billionaires and 6 corporations controlling 90% of the media in the United States. We've got AT&T, Comcast, Walt Disney
Mickey
Company, National
everything.
Amusements.
What's that? What'd you say?
Octopus Mickey is everything.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, the Octopus Mickey was everything. That was hilarious. It's so true.
Includes Viacom and CBS News and Fox Corporation. They rely on advertising revenue, and that's going to mean they're towing a certain line.
This is a CIA document. It was released. I was surprised it was released, and it says that we have relationship with every major wire service, newspaper, news weekly, and television network in the nation. In many instances, we have persuaded reporters to postpone, change, hold, or scrap stories that could have adversely affected national security interests or jeopardized sources and methods. Here's another part of your Truman Show everyone's been forced to live in. The idea that we have a free press.
Yeah,
we have
real.
a free market economy.
Real.
Pray tell any economist in here, I challenge you, how do we have a free market if the most important scientific breakthroughs of the last 100 years have been ruthlessly confiscated, people murdered, and kept off the market? No, it's a controlled economy. It's a controlled media. It's an abomination, and it's killing the planet.
There were days when I wished I had never seen free energy. The amount of pain that you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because you can't do anything, and you know that pollution can be cleaned up, and everyone is on the same economic basis. And because you're powering everything with the free energy, you can do really what the philosopher Joseph Campbell said. He said to seek after your bliss. And I think that free energy does it.
And so what do? Well, the current paradigm we just went through, the new would be unlimited abundance, no poverty in 20 years. There would be no poverty on Earth in 20 years with these technologies. Universal peace, because you're not fighting over everything now. And Earth in harmony
Except religion.
with humanity and the biosphere restored.
It's important to realize that the technology that is required to heal Earth already exists and has existed for a long time. That the problem is not fundamentally technological. If we came into coherence around the goal of healing Earth, we could do it in 5 years because the capacity of life to heal is just incredible. But we're just in the way of it all the time. I mean, even look what happens if you stop paving over a parking lot. In 5 years, cracks appear, weeds are growing out of it. In 15 years, you see chunks of pavement here and there, and trees are growing. In 50 years, you don't even know a parking lot was ever there. In order to maintain Earth in a state of ugliness and unlife requires constant effort, because the power of life to live is so strong. That's what life wants to do. It wants to live.
We only make 100 million cars a year. If we converted like that, which is not going to happen, all manufacturing of automobiles to these 0-point energy generators, it would take, do the math, 15 years. We barely have 15 years left. The date I've been given, 2035 to 2040, and we're done.
Well,
The scale of the train.
it's probably for the best. The communists are going to try to take over by then anyway. And, I don't know. Maybe it's all for the best. Just trust the plan, Jennifer.
Yeah, I do. And I mean, I have a question. If we get free, let's say somebody finally breaks through or something breaks through or the aliens show up and go, okay, everybody out of the pool. Here's your free energy. You guys have been hoarding it for, 70 years, but we're going to release it. And
Yeah,
whatever.
and sit the fuck down, Exxon. Sit the fuck down, shut the fuck
All
up.
you
Don't get in
guys.
the fucking way. We have space lasers.
Yeah. Do you think that the communists and socialists would continue their agenda? Because at that point, everybody would have access to, because what we're all fighting over is abundance. We're fighting over food and resources. And if we have, say, free energy, do you think that would alter their plan?
No,
tact?
because it would reinforce their plan. Is the thing is it would reinforce like, oh yeah, this is exactly what we need. We just need to do like everything available to everyone, because energy is not the only thing they're fighting over. They're also fighting over land, property, stuff like that. And so, do I think that they would be satisfied and go away? No, I don't. I think that they would say, oh yeah, this is exactly what we want, and we also want this and this and this and this and this. But also, like, if the aliens came down and gave us the energy, they'd probably put a stop to that. They're gonna be like, no, children, no, no, go away, stop. The aliens are gonna control the situation.
Yeah, I forget that. And I don't this is silly. I mean, they are. I mean, obviously they're against personal property and personal ownership of anything, except your own body, I guess, more or less. Unless they're re-educating you or something. But like, if it comes down to like they want to change genders or whatever, that's their choice, and that's where they have any power, which is just fucked up in my opinion. But at any rate, the yeah, they'll find something that they still want to try and control. Oh, and I just have to give some credit to the phrase, because I was watching your stream the other day. Seahorse
parent. Yeah. Yeah. Transparent.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is because of how seahorses program. But I'm just like, I just had to say something. I'm like, I can't. Okay. So, yeah. Okay.
You should have come and watched Fat Liberation with us today. We did a Fat Liberation Day. It's pretty. We found out the queer fat disabled person presenting was a burlesque dancer within the first 10 minutes of the presentation. Yeah. No, not joking.
Oh, how nice for them. Follow your bliss. Well, I honestly, I had a nap today and I needed that more. So
Shadowfire made the right call, actually.
Transition is almost unthinkable. There are an estimated 14 million kilometers of paved roads across the Earth. There are many millions more of power lines comprising the so-called smart grid. A real smart grid would be no grid at all. We need a compassionate transition. Instead of displacing millions of workers who support today's energy infrastructure, we must enlist them in the radical transformation of our world that lies before us.
Radical transformation.
You've all heard of the Hopi prophecy, probably. There are two lines on the Hopi prophecy. Right now, our entire planet is on the line, the upper line that terminates. We're an extinction level event trajectory. That's the path we're on. There's another line in the Hopi prophecies, and that's one that we have to jump onto that goes on and on forever. That's our choice. We, the people, have to choose it. It is not going to be done for you like a Ouija board in Washington or at Wall Street. We're going to have to unite and do this ourselves.
You can imagine a civilization that has figured out the over-unity question as being one in which the centralization of power, and therefore the centralization of the inputs necessary for the growth of civilization, becomes more decentralized. So rather than these power stations that are clustered around big cities, you can have energy generation mechanisms in every home.
And this is why it's a new world, because it's a power to the people. And what it means, it's literally not just electric power and energy, but actual political power. And in the industrial era, from the 1800s to now, it's gotten more and more concentrated. This is going to return the power to every village and every person. Even the deserts shall bloom, as it says in the Bible. And in Africa and around the world, they're going to leapfrog past where we are with all this electricity and wiring and power lines and power plants like they did telephones. They went straight to cell. But this is a bigger leap where all over the world, all these impoverished areas, every little village and community will have its own energy generator for pulling water out of the humidity of the air. We have the technology to do that now. Why isn't it used? Because it uses a lot of electricity, which is polluting and expensive. It'll be a global village, all interconnected, but also all self-sufficient. Complete local self-sufficiency with no pollution. That's the world we could have had beginning in the 20s. 100 years later, may I suggest we accept it. It's time.
We are 100 years behind where we should be right now. Why are we still pounding metal nails into boards to build houses? Why are we still loading up shipping containers on tankers and taking 2 months to get here? This is all a construct.
And why I call this a time snap? A time snap is when things have gone so far off track, the only way to fix it is for the people to unite, come up with a totally different strategy where in a decade to 2 decades, we make up for 100 years. It can happen. And, if nothing else, humans do want to survive. But this is now a survival question for every man, woman, and child on the earth. So that's why we have to do this.
We have to remember also that the capacity for life to heal is almost unlimited. And we see this already with people who are restoring ecosystems and regenerating farmland. Even in a few years, miracles happen. Springs that had been dead for generations come back to life. Species that hadn't been seen in the area seemingly magically reappear. And so we can't forget that. We can't succumb to a despair that is founded in our distrust of the power of life itself, which again is part of the origin of our current condition.
Visualize your house off the grid, clean energy, no wiring. Why? Because every device, whether it's this size device or your refrigerator, will have a small solid state quantum vacuum 0-point energy device in it, running it. So there's no electromagnetic fields running through your house because you don't need wiring. Think what that'll do to construction costs and the simplicity of it. And here we are in the Sahara Desert, and you want to grow food. You create a biosphere dome. It's run on free, clean energy, as we've demonstrated. You're growing oranges. You can grow crops. You can have different zones in it for different temperature and humidity control. So anywhere on the planet that you need to have foods, it could be done under controlled circumstances, digitally automated, but with no cost for the energy and the water, virtually none. What that means is the food scarcity and starvation we're facing, that goes away very quickly in a 20-year period. Here's your typical street in your neighborhood, anywhere in the world. And as we bring these technologies out, the grid comes down. We don't need it anymore. When there's a snowstorm or hurricane or whatever, you don't lose power because you're not dependent on a grid that's going to be torn down by ice and snow and wind. You don't need wires.
Imagine never having a power outage
again. The clutter of wires. You don't need them because every device will have its own source of energy. This could have been done decades ago. As we bring these out, all these freeways will be replaced. All the lines and power lines will go away. We can float above the surface. And in every city in the world, we're going to see this transformation, every village in the world. And then we have these cities, eventually where
growing on the tops of buildings.
Yeah.
Just trees growing on the tops of buildings. I wanted to just address, is judging you why grow food in a dome? If you live in hospitable place to growing food, like people living in Alaska, they can't really have big farms up there. But they want to be in Alaska, or there's some other reason they're in Alaska. Primarily, the biggest cities in Alaska are the biggest any of the remote villages. Because I love Ice Road Truckers. If anybody ever watches that, they ship lots of stuff to these remote villages. I'm like, why are people there? A lot of it is oil field work, so like that would be obsolete. But if they just like the area, and on the other part is I think fishing, but yeah, and in the desert, if you could anywhere, somebody could have a source of food. You could live anywhere without worrying about being out of range of nutrition and energy and food. So it just is very freeing. Do it wherever.
It's a nice idea. I don't know if I buy the idea that it's going to end up with trees growing on every rooftop and I don't know. I think it might be like a little bit aspirational, if I'm being honest.
It's a little silly. I mean, where are the tree roots going? I mean, obviously not.
And
into
why
the top
do all of
apartments.
And why do people want to plant trees on the rooftops? You can't plant a fucking tree on a rooftop now. Just get a really big if you can't figure out how to do that shit now.
There's places that have rooftop gardens. It's very ambitious. It's very heavy, very expensive to run, and they have to pump all the water and stuff. But there are some I've seen, and I've also seen concept art for places where there are trees and there's like greenery growing along, like in swaths along the buildings, and they're trying to make like green buildings. We have like grass roofs and shit. Not necessarily trees, because trees require quite a root network, and you need something quite deep. But anyway, that's obviously concept art. That's a little silly. However, I think the idea of living in harmony with nature is very appealing to me, especially as a pagan, because that's what I try to do anyway. And I love the idea of that. And I mean, hover cars, getting rid of roads. I mean, just making it really beautiful. Shrubberies, buddy. Sorry, Monty Python. But I really do love the idea of living more in harmony with nature, and instead of resisting and trying to force nature to bend to us, we work with it and still have a nice technically advanced life. I love this idea, and I'm mad that we are being stopped from it, because I truly believe we are.
They're guided pathways, you know, the ground is pristine, and then we're going out into space. So everyone remember where our destiny is. Our destiny is not just Earth, it's the whole cosmos. How is that going to be possible? The only way we're...
Oh, Jennifer, I gotta tell you, if you guys get a chance to go to a movie, you need to go see Hail Mary. You need
I want to
go
see it
and
so bad.
You need Victor. I never even heard it. I don't pay attention to what movies are coming out, but Victor and I went to see it on Sunday because Victor really wanted to see it. I cried so many fucking times in that movie.
Oh.
It's so good.
I want to see it so bad. We've been trying to find a theater.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to see if we can't make that happen here real soon, because I really want to see it before it goes bye-bye, since we don't actually have cable, and I don't know if we ever will have cable until we get a house, which could be months from now. So I really want to go see it in the theater. I'm dying. I've been following this movie for 2 years on the nerd circuits on internet, on YouTube. So I'm like,
I don't know anything
it's
about
good.
like the book or whatever it's based on, or like Victor was trying to tell me about it or something. There, he read a book that was similar to it, but like it was fucking good. I didn't know anything about it going into it. I was like, this is like fucking great.
Oh, it was written by the same author who did the Mars, the guy that got stuck on Mars.
Oh, I know exactly
the
what you're talking
Martian.
about.
Yeah, the Martian.
You
It's
can
the same
tell
author.
it has kind of like that same kind of like irreverent kind of like tone with it, where it's like it's serious, but it's not too serious sort of thing. But no, it's like it's very, very, very touching. It's a good movie.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, really intelligent writing. I haven't read his books, but I think I may, just because he sounds like just an intelligent writer that any other writer could learn from by reading his work. So I'm excited. But yeah, I really want to see that.
Victor read the Mars one and he really liked it.
I've heard it's fantastic. Yeah.
I thought John Carter was a great movie. I thought John Carter was an underrated movie. That's not what we're talking about, but I really like John Carter got shit on. I really enjoyed John Carter. I don't know what people are so upset about. I
liked it too. I really I liked the well, my husband of course read all the John Carter of Mars books, and he was like, this kind of sucks. It kind of follows the book, but not really. And I think there was a little too much artistic liberty taken with the plot. I'm not sure, and that's why people kind of poo-pooed it. But it got a little weird. But yeah, I liked it because I thought it was just fun. It was a fun romp. Let it be a fun romp.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, if you have no reference because you haven't read the book, like I know fucking, I don't read those types of books, so I didn't know anything about it going into it. Victor wanted to go see it. I remember, because this is sticking in my head now, but I was like, oh, that's a good movie, and Victor's like, And it's the same thing with like Ender's Game, which I love Ender's Game. And then, but I saw the movie first. I had never read the book, but like Ender's Game was like Victor's fucking thing, that he was like, he really liked this book. And so we had to go see the movie.
Oh.
And Victor was like, and I was like, I thought that was a really good fucking movie, actually. And then I end up reading the book after that. And I understand why people who love the book might not have liked the movie, because the book is so much better. There's so many other plots in it. There's so much more going on. Like, I really wish they'd been able to get some, but I also understand why they made the decisions they did, in terms of like, there was a lot going on in that fucking book. There was a lot going on. It may have been too ambitious to actually do that all in one movie, but I still enjoyed it. Anyway,
I'd love to see an Ender's Game series come out so they can treat those plots with those other lines with respect. On the other hand, they have not been exactly knocking series out of the park these days, because they can't keep their little woke fingers out of everything. And so I'll wait till like somebody who actually is passionate about it, maybe, and not change things or go, oh, well, we're going to let go more in detail, but we're going to do it our ways for our current audience, and not do anything with the book like what they're doing with the new Harry Potter series. Don't get me on that.
Fucking stupid. I'm not even going to watch that. I don't care.
I'm not either.
Allowed to go outside our solar system is if we become a peaceful civilization. Otherwise, it's locked down. You know, we are considered a planet that is dangerous and armed.
Each one of us is very invested in the world as it is. We've built careers, relationships and goals based on a world that doesn't include ETs and anti-gravity and free energy and healing devices and all this cool, abundant stuff. And so we need to understand and really know if we are ready for that investment to be disrupted. So one of the most powerful things that any of us can do is to look in our own hearts, imagine the world that could be, and ask ourselves, are we ready for that? If the answer is yes, then hold that readiness in your heart in all the excitement that it's due. If the answer is no, if there are some lingering doubts or fears or concerns, then go into that. Follow that. That's an important thread that you can follow back to something inside of you that needs attention. It's that obstacle that may be keeping us from living in this new world.
At Rendlesham Forest in the Air Force Base in 1980, a roughly pyramid-shaped craft landed. You've all heard this account probably, but I'll recount it for you. And the part that's classified you don't know. There were these kind of luminous beings that literally teleported, floated outside this black pyramid and communicated with these Air Force officers. And the ET said, we are your descendants who have become interstellar. But we are from 500,000 years in the future. And we are now here. They basically materialized time travel to 1980 because this was a covert nuclear weapons facility that if that had been disclosed could have triggered World War III. And saying, you've got to stop doing this. If you stay on this path, we, your children's 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 children, 20,000 years into the future, we won't exist. That was 42 years ago. So they have been warning these civilizations from other star systems. Some of them are our descendants, not all, but some are. The key thing to remember here is that the fact that that happened is a message of great hope. It means that there is a chance, a good chance, if we reach into our higher consciousness and we go forward with a strategy that isn't based on materialism and greed. This is a massive undertaking, my friends, but I'm convinced we can do it, but we have to completely rethink how we live, how we act, and the whole business model of what we're doing. And if we do that, here's the world we're going to have. We will be remembered as the generation that pulled ourselves off the extinction line of the Hopi prophecy and moved on to the one that goes on forever. Thank you all. We can do it.
Nelson Mandela once said, "Our human compassion binds us the one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future." We have every reason to have hope. The solutions already exist. If we come together as one human family, we can reclaim our lost century.
I wanna be free.
All right. That was a legit documentary, Jennifer.
Yay!
No, it's like I can't even be upset anymore. I can't even be upset because I'm not mad. I'm just
I think that
disappointed.
that opening thing was more like trying to show you the contradictions and show you the scare tactics and this is what they're concerned about, and yet they're covering up the technology that could fix all this, so it's all lip service and it wasn't a rah thing. But yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
I did enjoy it. I like anything with Stephen Greer. Stephen Greer has such a nice energy, but he's calming energy about him.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm gonna tell you a bunch of crazy
smile.
shit, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
But
There's a
you're
pretty
gonna totally
pretty good chance we're gonna make it through this. Maybe not 100%, but we got a shot.
Let's get off the Hopi extinction path. Okay, what do I gotta do? 0 point energy. That sounds like a you problem because I don't know anything about how that works, but I'll support it.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down anytime the aliens want to show themselves and just be like, okay, stop fucking around, humans. We're done now. Nice try.
Real.
We're done.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm so ready. I love all the disclosure talk that's happening right now, and I'm super interested in everything that's like I'm dialed in. My ears to the ground right now, y'all.
No, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gonna be a very interesting year.
Do you have any other announcements or anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
I do. So due to my shitty internet situation, and until I can get some Starlink, I'm going to not host movie night this coming Sunday because we will still be here in Wasteland Central. And I'm trying to figure out because I don't think I can get something shipped here since I am a guest and not a renter. But I can probably get it shipped to my friend's house who's receiving mail for us. And so I can go up and pick it up there. And that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So this week will be off. And then the following weekend, we will probably be in our semi-permanent monthly rental place in a different city. Yeah. So I'm stoked about that. We're going to leave a couple days early from here so we can set up. And then I can do movie night. And I'm looking at, I had 4 movies, but I think I'm going to narrow it down to 3. Now 2, since I'm skipping a week. And this is May the 4th Be With You month, so it's sci-fi themed, which is my favorite genre. So I've got, and maybe I'll put a poll in the chat, or I might make an executive decision. Don't know. We'll see. But I was looking at either 2001: A Space Odyssey, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, or Alien Nation. And I'm thinking I really want to do Alien Nation because I think you guys would be surprised. It's an underrated movie. Not a lot of people have seen it. And it's really pertinent to kind of some of the vibes going on politically now. So, but I may do a poll between 2001 and Star Trek: A Motion Picture and see what you guys think about those for a couple weeks from now.
Cool.
And
maybe I'll host movie night on Sunday. I'm not saying definitely. I'm saying maybe we'll do Karlyn's mystery movie night again. That worked out well last time.
You do great. Everybody loves it when you do that. Like pop up Karlyn host. Everybody fucking loves that shit. You should do it. Absolutely.
And we're gonna watch Cannibal Holocaust this time, so it won't really be a mystery. You're gonna show up and watch Cannibal Holocaust. Is what's gonna happen.
I'll try and watch. If I'm not streaming, I probably at least be there and make comments and stuff and watch the movie and not.
Cannibal Holocaust is a wild fucking movie.
It sounds like it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would expect nothing less from you. And then of course MacB is doing Giant Monster May Madness, and he showed Mothra last night, and it looks like this coming Monday he'll be doing Terror of Mechagodzilla. So that's coming up. You can look forward to those things. And in the meantime, wherever you go, there you are.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. I'm glad you're settled in at your new temporary digs. Everything is going okay. We appreciate Mr. Jennifer turning off his internet so we could stream without you dropping off. That's awesome. And I guess that's all she wrote for tonight. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. I might have a surprise plan for tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. I definitely have a surprise, I think, for Thursday, but we're gonna see how things go. But that's all I got. I will see you guys tomorrow.
Right.
Have
Oceans
a good one,
of love.
guys.
Good night, guys.
Bye.